going to go to the start of this one because the revs are rising. Away they go for the feature race here. Well, it is 287 days ago that we went and crowned a Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup champion for 2021. Today, well, we're starting that process all over again. But before we get to our World Championship drivers, we have a bit of fun here and have the All-Stars coming along to race. Paul Smith and Sadekist here today. And, well, Matt, I mean, we're back. We're back once again for a new season.
I thought we'd dress the part today. I am Paul Smith. And you can also be Paul Smith. No, this is awesome. I think it's fitting as well that they've placed me on the top of the Porsche Experience Center here at Hockenheim, because that's where we actually crowned our championship last year. We had the finals and the finale in that venue, and I think I started the introduction on the roof of that building. You're actually, I think, just over here. Or I guess this way. It's probably easier for the camera. But you're in the media box, just there.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great view. It's fantastic from here. Obviously, we are in the virtual world, but we are at Hockenheim for our opening round. And here's a look at this magnificent circuit. Of course, redesigned in 2002, Matt. Plenty of overtaking opportunities around here.
Yeah, well, yes and no. Definitely a lot of hard braking points, right? Turn 2, you head down to the hairpin, huge braking point. That one, you've got to brake all the way back at the 150-meter board, so it's a long braking point. 992, remember, this year. I'm going to say it, not to be hard on iRacing. The 991, difficult to drive. The previous tire model, that car was relentless. It was incredible how good some of these guys were in it. The 992... one of the best cars in iRacing right now. What an improvement. What an incredible car. We talked last year at that finale when it was being introduced to the real world, and actually we introduced the 911 GT3R at that event, and there was hints that the 992 was coming. And Etienne Gouven, who's going to be featuring today in PESC and is now a full-fledged Porsche driver as opposed to the junior that he was last year, was saying it's more a race car. It's got more aero, the wider front track, you can get harder on the brakes. It's more aggressive in that sense. So yeah, there you go. There's a view of the hairpin. That's going to be a massive overtaking spot today. And then the arena's still a bit tight and technical, and the car still has no traction control, lots of power. It's going to want to step out a little bit on them. And there's some lines you've got to be very careful with not to get the off tracks. So yeah, going to be, I think it's a great venue for these guys to start the season on.
Absolutely, and we start off with open qualifying for our All-Stars here. So unlike the World Championship where they're going to be qualifying on their own, these All-Stars, they're out there on track. If one makes a mistake in front of the other and causes the other to not set a time, well, that just happens out there. But we've got a number of returning faces. We've got some new faces in the All-Stars as well. Personally, my favourite of the newcomers is TK, Tony Kanaan. What a way of introducing him to the All-Star Series.
Absolutely. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he did one race last year in the All-Star Series. But yeah, really cool to have him on board. I think it's been especially cool for him how much he's been involved. I remember talking to this guy when he first got his sim, and we were doing something over at the race, and he had it set up in his closet because he had nowhere else to put it in his house. He needed somewhere where it could be soundproof so he could play it. He's obviously got children and a family. And he was like, yeah, like I'm just sitting in my closet right now. I was like, oh, wow. And now he's full-fledged. Like he's developing sim rigs. He's working with Max Pappas and is all in. This was our champion last year, though, Emily Jones. And she is on it. I've been watching her as we jump in the Vodafone onboard. I've been watching her streams lately. She actually beat, I think, Enzo Benito in a race the other day. That's no easy feat.
Yeah, well, Enzo Benito is a former Porsche Heuer Esports Supercup driver as well. But we're on this Vodafone onboard here, so we're talking through this lap. Turn 1, it's quite a pinch point. That could be a potential danger for the start of the race. And then into the hairpin of Turn 2. Here we are with Jadier. Through the hairpin, then at the end of the newer section of the track, heading down towards this next... It's sort of a mini arena section, isn't it, this, before you then get through to the stadium, the old stadium section of the circuit.
Yeah, and then this was an addition that was well brought to the track. You can tell it's still quite a bit wider, still technical. You've got to not use all of the track where you saw Yardier come out of the inside corner and then hug to a little bit to the left to open up. Now, this is an interesting one. There's the Porsche Experience Center just on the right, but you've got to get all the way left against the wall. And then absolutely use the curb on the exit. And you can use all the curb there. Now, that's the interesting thing. And for those of you who are wondering and want to see where those track limits are, if you head to Twitter and find Jeff Giassi, who we'll see a little bit later, as we're going to jump on board, I think, with Maxime as well. You'll see a little bit later in the PESC series, he did an onboard lap and he explained where some of those limits were in the corners you could take liberties, using the red sausage curve we saw Maxime just going by to dig the tire in and get more grip. And these cars will do that. The 992 really will squat on top of this new tire model. I think it's a fantastic combo. I know you and I were both joking we could actually do laps at the Nordschleife now and not hit the wall, but it was Knockhill where I actually realized how aggressive you can be with this car. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, the fixed series and the Porsche series on iRacing was at Knockhill, and you come over the hill from turn 1 down into turn 2 and it just squats into the tire and you get so much grip, and it was such a gratifying feeling, and it's really a fun car to drive for that reason.
Well, here's Jimmy Broadbent then. He's one of the it's safe to say he is very much the highest number of subscribers for a sim racing YouTube channel. Absolutely tremendous to see his channel just keep on growing and growing, and how Jimmy has been able to take himself and his mint green car from being in the virtual environment and to apply himself in the real world racing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been doing more. Obviously, COVID stifled a few plans he had for VLN with Rene Butler, Butler Powell Motorsports. But yeah, doing some of the Praga series last year. Did up his Miata, which I love Miatas as track cars. Did that up to be a proper roll-caged little track beast, give him more experience there to get out for track days. And yeah, it'd be interesting to talk to him in a year or so's time when he's getting more and more of that track experience and see how that's changed his sim experience as well. As we look on board with him heading into the old stadium section. Again, a corner you really can hang the car out, all the curb, and on the brakes. Just to go back, Paul, you mentioned this is open qualifying. For PESC, obviously, we do the traditional iRacing style. Everyone's on their own. And you mentioned it. There's blocking that can be involved in this, but there's also draft that you get in this, which can be a factor. I don't see anyone right now looking for the draft, but you could certainly see people taking advantage of it, perhaps incidentally and getting an advantage. As Lorne Heinrich, now this guy, man, oh man, busy. Did Dubai 24. Unfortunately, They blew an engine early, but he flew out of Dubai straight back to Gronau, Germany to jump on board the virtual Le Mans with Porsche Motorsports and ended up finishing P2 in that race. This guy is super committed, officially a Porsche junior driver this year. And Paul, you were saying he's been in PESC before.
Yeah, certainly. He has competed in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup in the past as well. So he's well-versed to this type of driving and well-versed to this type of highly competitive environment. And, well, he's very familiar with the iRacing service as well, as we can see by the fact that he's 0.6 of a second ahead of Tony Kanaan. Worth pointing out as well, all these drivers have got a fixed setup here, so there's no setup shenanigans going on. Everybody's driving the same car. This is down to the driver's ability and the amount of time that they've been able to put into practice. Matt Malone, he was the one that joined late on last season in the All-Stars. He even joined us on commentary on the finale as well and did a sterling job.
Yeah, absolutely. I forgot about that. And no, and you're right. I think he joined late. And honestly, I think he regretted not being here all season. I'll say it. Last year, I signed up. Pleasure to be back, by the way. Super excited to be back for another season of the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup. But I signed up thinking, okay, all-star race. It's influencers. It'll be, a bit of shenanigans. But the racing was awesome. Arguably better at times as we look. Here it is, TK. And this guy, I mentioned, yes, he's been getting involved with sim. But he's also getting a lot faster in sim. Because I think last year I would have expected him to be mid-pack. Right now he's only 0.6 behind Lorne Heinrich. That's no easy feat.
Yeah, certainly. And, well, that's... it's tremendous to get you these pictures, our Vodafone onboards here. It certainly has been great to see these drivers pushing hard in qualifying. And 15 times set so far out there, so the drivers will be carrying on another 4.5 minutes remaining here. But it's tremendous to see how Tony has really just embraced the whole sim environment here as he comes through Sachs Curve once again. He'll be looking forward and thinking, well, and I just want to get some better times in here today. Might
be interesting to go cockpit view rather than some of the onboard views, just to see the steering wheel of guys like Lorne Heinrich as opposed to Tony Kanaan. Tony Kanaan has brake bias set at 0, which means he has not changed it. Remember, even though it's a fixed setup, if you press F8, your black box comes up. Because in real life, brake bias. Okay, that's a pretty sick. That's like a Tony Hawk 50-50. He just grinded the curb. That was pretty sick. I'm going to give him style points for that, Tony. That was well done. No, well held. But yeah, it does give it up. The tire's going to be gone on that one. But you can still adjust your braking bias. So you can definitely play around with that a little bit.
Well, let's have a look at the schedule then here today for the All-Stars. So we're starting off with the 992 here at Hockenheim. We head on over to Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia for round 2. Round 3, well, we'll have news on that in the Tag Heuer countdown show. Then we head on over to the GT4, the 718 Cayman for Silverstone, the Red Bull Ring, and Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And then the 911 GT3R, the GT3 car out there for Spa, Nürburgring, and Le Mans. And then the final round, well, we've got to have a vote as to which car we drive as well. Here's going to be the format of how things run here today and how we'll have everything going on. So as you can see, we're currently in the 12 minutes qualifying. We've got a fixed setup here with this Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car, the 992. The sprint race, 15 minutes, and then the main race, 25 minutes long. Give these drivers plenty of time to have some hard fought action out there, Matt.
Absolutely. Yeah, no question about it. It was super exciting last year. Reverse grid last year as well. And it always is a factor. It makes things exciting because, look, sometimes some people have some struggles in the first race and make up for it in the second. Now, this is interesting. We mentioned that she's the series reigning champion. Emily Jones, Emery, she's so fast in this car. She's yet to put a time down. And I presume that's due to off tracks. Lap 4 for her and no time. So that's a bit of an issue. She's going to have to be extremely careful about this. I'm just looking back through the incident counter. Yeah, off track on lap 1, incident to a 2x. Off track, she's had 4 off tracks. I mean, that does it for you.
Certainly does. And you need to be avoiding that, of course. Oh, she's abandoning this lap as well. So she's going to have one more lap to go at this. She was obviously just getting out of the way of traffic coming up behind her. So she's on an out lap here. She's trying to prepare a car, get her tyres into this, the scene, but really she is running out of time, yeah. Yeah,
1:30, and I don't think you can beat the flag in this qualifying format. They might just call it, and that would put her at the back, but she's been going easy, keeping the tires warm, but not overdriven on the first lap. These new tire model, it's definitely lap 1, lap 2 that you really want to bang out the lap, and then they start to fall off. Not as dramatic as the older model, I find, but yeah, you just don't quite have the same pace out of them. She's going to go for it, but 1:05 left before that checkered flag flies, and it's going to be tight for her, and she's, ooh, is that wide enough?
Well,
I think she's fine there.
You say that she might be out of time, but normally, not always, it depends on how the server has been set up, but normally with open qualifying, you do get a little bit of extra time to finish off your lap time, so we'll have to bear with, and hopefully for Emily, she does get to finish this lap.
The issue is that it's not always... No. You know, in real life, if you beat the flag, you get to finish that lap. If you just barely beat the flag in iRacing sometimes, let's say you're on the Nürburgring, well, you're not going to finish that lap. Sorry, the session's going to advance. So it's not always enough. I think it's going to be tight here, but she's out of the hairpin. So far, I see no incident counter popping up for her, and this looks a lot better. She had multiple off tracks on several laps, too, so she's really got to rein it in this time. Again, this curb, you could use a little more. She's being conservative, I think. She just wants to get further up the grid at this point. I don't blame her for that.
Oh, that's a bit wide, though. And that's it. That's qualifying. Emily Jones is going to be starting at the very back of the grid here. Wow. That's just brutal, is that? But it shows how one little mistake on multiple times, it costs you.
Yeah, and it wasn't like it was close for her either. Like I say, lap 4 alone, she had 4 off tracks. If I go back to lap 3, I see 3 of them. So multiple incidents for her, unfortunately. Maybe struggling to come to terms with the fixed setup on the 992. But this is our grid, Paul, and no surprise, Lauren Heinrich at the front.
Yeah, and he's joined on the front row by Tony Kanaan with Jadier and Quirk. Then that's Jaroslav Honzig and Tyson Meyer on row number 2. Borja Zaza, great to see him back, one of the most dapper men in all of sim racing. And Dan Suzuki on row number 3. Row 4 for Xavier Sanchez, Heike 360, with Matt Malone alongside him. Jimmy Broadbent, he is going to be joined by Pierre-Olivier Valette. And then Matthew Vaca with Julian Sisbourg.
Sisyphus.
That's a Yorkshireman trying to pronounce that. James West, the game muscle, and Maxime there on row number 7, and then Althea Buck and Emily Jones rounding out your grid here today. 16 cars on the grid, a sprint race here to start us off 15 minutes. How are you seeing this one going then, Matt?
I think Lauren Heinrich probably walks away pretty comfortably with this. Like you say, former PESC driver. I know when he showed up for Virtual Le Mans, I was saying, is it concerning that he's been in Dubai and not been able to practice recently? And a lot of the pro guys at Coanda were saying, you know what? He's just as faster than all of us. So watch him, but watch Emily Jones come through. It's going to be race pace.
Well, Barney is waiting with his green flag. Away we go. Oh, he's a bit slow on the green flag there, to be honest, but the drivers are away from the line for 15 minutes of action here in your All-Stars, down towards turn number 1. And already there was somebody slow off the parade, and at the back of the field there's 2 spinners.
That's TK. TK had a huge amount of wheel spin off the line, and then on the cold tires, it put him 3 wide into corner 1. And I think just that wheel spin and not really being in a good position, it caught him out. So he's gone around. He's all the way down to the back.
The front 3 are trying to make a breakaway here at the moment. So Lauren Heinrich, Jadier and Quirk, they are for the front 3. And then Bolshazaz in 4th place. He's got a bit of a queue of cars. Dan Suzuki, Matt Malone and Xavier Sanchez as well. Into the hairpin for the first time. Cold tyres, cold brakes. Got to be careful not to snatch a break here. Everybody making it through clean, and we've got 2x2 action further down. Jimmy Broadbent is one of those who's side by side, and it's Xavier Sanchez who is fighting with as well. Down into turn number 8. Tight left-hander opens up then on exit. Emily Jones is trying to work her way through as well, isn't she?
Man, oh man, super sideways coming out of there. That's where we saw her spin in qualifying as well. We're going to take a look at the replay from the start as well. As I said, huge bog down from Tony Kanaan, and that's what caused it. And I think Mathieu Acker got caught up in that one as well. As we look into turn 1, TK turns in, a little bit too much curb on the inside, and then just lost the rear. Where's Mathieu Acker? No, he lost it on his own. So he just went around on his own. Didn't see what caused his spin, but likely similar. And a few stragglers at the back. Emily Jones already making up positions, 9th position. So even if she's struggling with the car and doesn't have the pace overall for a single lap, she's a pretty smart woman and she's pretty quick in her overall race. So watch for her to just stay consistent in this, as that seems to be the name so far. Lauren Heinrich right now out to a pretty good gap, 1.2 seconds after the first lap, despite that Honzik's trying to keep him honest.
Yeah, Jadier and Quirk both fighting. Now, they need to work together if they want any hope of trying to catch up to Lauren Heinrich here. And they're going to head on down through the Parabolica. Here's a replay from on board of Jimmy Broadbent. There's Tony Kanaan into that first corner, start sliding. And that's Jimmy, who just the slightest of taps, as Quirk on the live pictures goes deep at the hairpin, loses a... no, he doesn't lose a position. He keeps hold of that position, but only just.
Only just. It's interesting. His livery is just a bunch of pasted faces of, himself and his sort of meme logo. But it actually, from a distance, looks just like IHN Gouvin's Supercup car. I don't know what that says about IHN's car, because I like the look of it, but now I'm thinking, has that ruined it for me? I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's it. Now all you can see in the Super Cup is just Quirk's face.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's an image in your head. You can't get rid of that one. But right now, Lauren Heinrich is 1.8 seconds ahead of Jadier. Jadier is trying his best to catch up, and well, I mean, Lauren is such a talented driver. There's a reason why Porsche have brought him in to their stable and brought him on as a junior driver. He is just an unbelievable talent. That's not to say that the rest of our grid isn't talented. Emery up to 8th already from 16th on the grid. So that's a tremendous start to this one. Fastest lap there, Lauren Heinrich, as we see on the graphics. TK, Tony Kanaan, 14th place. He'll be a little bit disappointed with that start, but if ever there was somebody who can fight the way through, that's TK.
Yeah, experienced driver, no doubt about that. And no question, he's willing to get his elbows out. So, been watching a few of his streams. He's an aggressive dude, so we'll see what he can come up with. Again, keep in mind the draft is massive down through the parabolic and into this hairpin. So there's going to be a lot of people that are trying to leech onto that. And if they can break toe, if Heinrich gets away, you'll probably see these guys in second, third struggle to keep up with that. But the mid-pack's going to be a real battle all the way to the end.
Well, we're on board with Hydro then. This is currently 9th place then. Behind Heike 360, actually, I can tell you, looking at your timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen, Emery's dropped down from 8th down to 12th, so something's happened this lap to Emery. So she is not having a good opening round of the All-Stars. As we give you more of our Vodafone on boards, here's Heike then. Xavier Sanchez right behind, Jimmy Broadbent in front of him. So Heike will be trying his best to catch up. You can see the movement that both cars have there. Yeah. There's no help there. There's no traction control, no ABS on these cars.
And I struggle with it still because I didn't grow up necessarily on paddle shifting like a lot of the younger drivers have now, and certainly with sim as prevalent in my life when I was younger as not. Short shifting, and you see it in F1, I love that. But look at Zazo, by the way. He's always got this incredible suit. He's got the bow tie. He looks better than me dressed as you, and you dressed as you. No offense, but yeah, you know what I mean?
I said he's the most dapper man in sim racing.
Oh, he is. But no, like, I'll give you a perfect example is turn 5 at the Red Bull Ring. Big open sweeper, you go into it in third gear and you think, well, it's a big open sweeper, I can just get on the throttle. You start to lose the rear in these cars. Short shifting is basically your traction control in these Porsches. So in those, yeah, we see a slight position change in front. In those situations where you're getting that little bit of torque oversteer, you can just quick shift in these and it actually works really well, but it's a skill you have to learn. And for me, it's a skill I have to remember because I'm so used to just using my right foot. It's actually better to short shift in these cars.
Yeah, when you've got a lead right foot like I have myself in the sim, then you need to learn how to short shift in these cars in particular. Yeah, that was Quirk then. Moving up to second place ahead of Jardier. So Jardier, he's one of the happiest people in all of sim racing, I have to say. He's always got a smile on his face, but I don't think he'll be smiling about losing second place right now, but still involved in a cracking 3-4 car battle here.
So far, yeah, these guys are all very close together, and don't rule the fact that Dan Suzuki is just behind him out of this either. He was very quick last year at multiple occasions. I think actually in Montreal, he was one of the faster guys, had a great race there. That was arguably the race of the year. Emily Jones, by the way, in that race had the pass of the year around the outside of turn 3. In Montreal, that shouldn't be possible. That was foolish. And I do believe it was Dan Suzuki that she went around. So they were good with racing room and, yeah, super solid overall. Nonetheless, though, yeah, Jimmy Broadbent, 6th position. Matt Malone just falling off that battle a little bit. But if this gets a little more desperate, if this gets a little closer together, all of those people are within striking distance of drama, shall we say.
Yeah, as we see, both Bolgezazo and, well, actually, it's Bolgezazo who's on the left-hand side and Jardier is on the right there. So Bolges with the little graphic there. But, yeah, the two of them, oh, there we go. We swapped them around. There we go.
They had the intro to the show wrong, too, because I'm Paul Smith, and it clearly said I was Matt Trivet, so...
Well, are we going to play this all very slowly?
Yes. I just want to point out, last year we were doing the onboard or the what are we going to call it? The sim scrutineering. I guess that's what we'll call that session, where we talked about the rooms that the All-Stars were in and the different setups. Honzik, I think, was moving last year and had boxes everywhere. Now look at him. He's got the soundproof room. He's got the computer with all the LEDs behind him. Beautiful boom mic. My dog is even coming in with commentary at this point in time. And yeah, he looks like he's loving it.
I will say Bolgezazo, though, has got a potted plant, so that's always a good thing to have here. But as they go through the final couple of corners, then through Sudcurve, once again, heading across another lap. We're past the halfway point of this opening All-Stars race. The Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup World Championship will be coming up a little bit later on. You will not want to miss that. And then, of course, we've also got an announcement between the All-Stars and the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup races. So make sure you stick around because you will not want to miss that. But certainly right now, one man who isn't missing out is Lauren Heinrich. 4.2 seconds in the lead right now, ahead of Tyson Mayer in second place. And then Jaroslav Honzig, the man known as Jadier, third place ahead of Borja Zazo in fourth. Dan Suzuki is in fifth place. Now, here's a man who likes to comment about people's rooms having potted plants. I can tell you that's a fake plant. I think he bought it from a well-known Swedish retailer that does flat pack furniture. But,
my favorite meatball store.
Yeah, exactly. But Gamer Muscle, he's a proficient tea drinker. I know that, so he'll have a nice fresh cup of tea alongside him as well. But do you know what? I've never actually seen him concentrate so much on a race right now.
He's got this like Cobra Kai look to me right now with like, I can't tell if it's a beanie or if it's like a do-rag or a headband, but I love it. It's like, you're right. It makes him look so serious.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. I've met James a couple of times, and he's anything but serious, I can tell you. But as they go through, he's involved in a serious battle here because he's got Depaye, he's got Idra, and then himself here. Tony Kanaan is slowly catching up to them as well in 12th place. Worth pointing out, I've just noticed this on our timing tower. Emily Jones, Emery, is now down to 14th, so must have damage or some sort of issue.
Emily, let me peek through that as we're trying to figure that out, because incident 1X, so those are off tracks for her. So I don't see anything that indicates damage on our actual report system. However, we do know, like we said, she was struggling in qualifying. It could be a practice thing, could be something to do with this track. Who knows? But it'll make things interesting for the rest of the season because we know how quick she can be. And we know that this will give her a kick up the backside to perhaps get motivated and get that practice time in. So, yeah, maybe just it all ran out for her. Maybe she just, that race pace kind of came undone as everyone settled into the rhythm, and she just lost the rear somewhere again, because that's basically what was happening in qualifying, is she just really couldn't keep the car tidy.
Matt Malone with a very smart livery, representing the Stars and Stripes right there as well, and a very, very nice livery, I must say.
I'm going to have to jump in with a Canadian livery and do one of these races just to counter that out, just saying.
Well, I mean, you are talking to you're talking to somebody who actually won an all-star race in the iRacing Rallycross All-Stars. So take that, and I commentated whilst doing it as well. So double duty in that.
I'm not sure I can handle that.
well, here we go. Here's the battle: Dan Suzuki versus Matt Malone.
If I could, by the way, it wouldn't be appropriate for broadcast commentary. Okay, let's just make that clear.
Well, look at the focus and the concentration on both of the drivers' faces here. You can see also this shows the physicality of the sim as well, because Matt Malone's webcam was just shaking itself like mad. That shows how much effort and force that they're having to put through the wheel. And it shows it's not just some people just playing video games in a bedroom or something.
Apparently his camera fell off his rig earlier too, so it probably is shaking and moving a bit more than expected. Also surprised to see he's got the vertical monitor to his right. He's not running an actual triple setup, despite what you think there. He's got his chat up on the right side, so he's hanging out with Twitch, memeing it up with the boys and the girls and everyone in Twitch. But yeah, just interesting that he's running basically the single panel in front of him, and that's what he does. I don't think, now that I've gotten used to triples, I don't know that I could go back to a single panel, Paul.
An ultra wide is a good compromise. I will tell you that.
Yeah, and I would include that as sort of the triples ultra wide. Yes, absolutely. But in this case, it's clear he's not using that. So
no, absolutely not. And he's still doing a fantastic job, and he's in 6th place right now. For the main race in the All Stars here, the 25-minute race, we do get a full inversion of the grid again. So that does mean that Emily Jones will be starting in 3rd place as things stand right now. Is this Emily gaming the system, realizing that she's not going to get to the front of this race?
I'm not convinced. Just looking at, you might be right on the damage just looking at the last lap or so, but I'm not convinced, because qualifying didn't get into time. Obviously, she would have wanted to, and then a few issues in the race. So maybe just not her day at Hockenheim. But yeah, I do love this track. First corner is such a committed corner. You just chuck it in. Try not to take too much of that sausage curve on the inside. You can jump it, but there's a very fine point between getting oversteer and getting bumped around last lap, and we've got drama.
That's Jardier. Jardier's had an instant. He's dropped down to 6th place. Dan Suzuki, Matt Malone, both move forward, as does Borja Zazo. So did Zazo getting involved, and Matt Malone is making moves around the Parabolica, down towards the hairpin at turn 6, onto the brakes. Last of the late breakers between the two of them. And Malone slots his way in between them. Now he's got to be careful on corner exit, because that's where Dan Suzuki could get the launch off of the corner. Head on through turn 7, this flat out right hand kink in towards turn 8. This is an overtaking opportunity. Malone looks safe there. I'll tell you who else is safe. Lauren Heinrich, 6.5 seconds out from.
Was worried with Malone. You can see how hot the rear brakes were heading into that left-hander in the first stadium section. I thought he was going to lose it. A little bit of oversteer, but he's held it. But you're right, Lauren Heinrich, we kind of expected it, right? He's just so composed and so far out in front. This battle's not done. This is going to go all the way.
Well, we do jump forward to Lauren, because he's got one more corner to go. The Sud curve, the final corner of this track, across the line, and sees the checkered flag. A little rise of the smile there, nothing much. He knows that it's a job done, but he knows that in the second race, he's got all the work to do. Starting from the back, Quirk in second place ahead of Borja Zazo, and then we'll be able to give you all the rest of the results once everybody has completed the race here. But a good opening race here in your Porsche All-Stars, Matt, and some good action.
I'm loving the action at the end. Matt Malone just weaving through everyone that's slowing down. Why not? Just have a little fun with it. Yeah, real life, you might get a stern talking to for that, given the yellow flags would be out, but all good. No, good results. Tyson Meyer, we didn't talk much about him, but sneaks in, did very well to just keep it clean, consistent, snuck through, and Borjazo, third place. Matt Malone, though, that drama on the last lap made the difference, Paul. I said they were within distance of drama.
They certainly were, and finds himself in 4th place. And then it's Dan Suzuki and Jardier in 5th and 6th place. Then Heike 360, Jimmy Broadbent. Pierre-Olivier Valette with James West in 10th place. Rest of the results on screen here. Julien Cisbro with Tony Kanaan, what could have been starting on the front row of the grid, 12th place for him. Emily Jones, she'll be disappointed with that, down in 13th. Mathieu Vaca, Maxime, and then Althea rounding out your results here, Matt. We get a couple of minutes to just have a quick breath between the two races, but good opening first race for our All-Stars.
Yeah, I think a great opening race for this this series that last year was surprisingly good. And Dan Suzuki, Mr. Racecraft, I think I dubbed him multiple times last year. You've got so much personality in this race, but yet it's so interesting when I see this in other esports. You throw the influencers together, and it's just a laugh. And it is just a laugh. But look how serious some of them are being. Oh, that's a little bit too much contact. I'm afraid gets into the back of them. Unfortunately, they couldn't quite replicate Van Thor and Gemini to good effect there, and didn't work out for the punt that time. The push-to-pass button in the Porsche's not really paying off that time.
Yeah, front-to-rear contact is usually frowned upon by race stewards, and Bolgazars are just getting to the back of Jardier. But hello, everybody. Paul Smith and Sadakist here once again for you for the All-Stars. And, well, what a tremendous opening race. We've got another 25-minute race coming up in the All-Stars. And don't forget, if you're thinking, well, this looks like a fun and looks like it should be really good to take part in, well, so find out how to start your iRacing career then. iRacing.com for details. Sign up now, and there are also some deals on as well, so make sure you check that out here. We'd love to see you here on iRacing. You could end up racing against me and Matt.
I hope you don't. If you're racing against me, you're not doing well enough. Do better. No, I'm kidding. No, absolutely. It'd be a ton of fun and so much going on. I mean, it's one thing all the officials you can do each and every day, but then I've been grinding it out, getting ready for the Bathurst 12 hour, and what a different sort of mentality of repetitive laps and stint practice. It just brings a level of seriousness to it that really makes it fun. So yeah, get on board. Tons of fun on iRacing, tons of cars. Great way to experience the racetracks around the world that otherwise I wouldn't have seen. And now I feel like I know them. They apparently think I know them because they put me here. So there you go. Point standings, Paul. I know it's race one, but we do have points for this championship. So it's going to break down accordingly. No surprise, Lauren Heinrich. Now, he's our Porsche guest driver, so likely won't be here every single week, but has the lead right now.
certainly does. I mean, you can see towards the bottom there, Matt Campbell and Larry Tenvord. So I'm sure we'll be seeing those two Porsche drivers as guest drivers later on in this championship. So you never really pay attention to championship standings at this point. It's the opening race. We've got the main race coming up as well. And it was a good point that, just going back to about iRacing, it's a good point that you make there, Matt. Not only do you have the just the weekly races that are going on throughout every day, every hour, but every few weeks you get iRacing special events as well that you can take part in. And well, we just had the iRacing 24 Hours of Daytona, one of the highest number of drivers out there in that event.
Yeah, I think there was 18,000 plus drivers involved in that on iRacing. I know the guys that I race with were in like the 30th split, which is just goes to show you, if you're not an iRacer, the splits basically are divided based on your rating, the top split being the fastest guys, the bottom split being the lower rated guys. So the fact that there was 30 splits where I would have slotted into of people that much faster and that much more competitive is just incredible. And it makes for competitive racing all the way through. That's the beauty of the rating system, is that you don't have to be the fastest guy in the world, because you're not going to see the fastest guys in the world. You're going to see people equal to you, and that means every race should, in theory, be competitive.
Absolutely. It's a tremendous system that they have there, and it does provide you some fantastic racing. Now, don't forget, there is going to be a special announcement after our main race in the All-Stars, in the time between the All-Stars and the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. So make sure you stick around for that, and we'll be able to give you details of what. Well, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Is.
I'm sitting here like, you keep talking about this. I'm like, did I miss a briefing? Like, I'm just as excited as anyone right now.
Absolutely. I mean, I certainly I know what the announcement is, but I'm keeping stum. I'm going to let our colleagues Connery and Justin be able to discuss that one in the Tag Heuer countdown. But we're getting set for the main race of the All-Stars. 25 minutes of action around Hockenheim. And, well, let's have a look at this grid. So a full inverted grid here. And it is Althea who's on pole position. Alongside her is Maxime. Then Mathieu Vaca with Emily Jones. Tony Kanaan, well, he'll be hoping for a better start this time. Alongside him, Julien. And then James West, Pierre-Olivier Valette, Jimmy Broadbent, Xavier Sanchez, Jaroslav Honzing, and Daniel Suzuki. Matt Malone, Bosch Zaza with Tyson Meyer, and Lauren Heinrich having to do the hard work from the back of the
and
grid.
the hardest part of that work, when you know you're the fast guy, you've got to be patient. Unfortunately, he's a pro. He'll know all about that. He does endurance racing. But you've got to be patient. You've got to let yourself work through and don't get caught up in anyone else's drama. Oh,
well, the green flag is out. Away we go. Slow start for Vaca from the second row of the grid. We've got drama on the starting grid as well. We've got Karza facing the wrong way. That's Jardier who's facing the wrong way on the start straight through turn 1 in towards turn 2 now. Emily Jones already up to second place then. Tremendous launch. And Tony Kanaan is following her through as well. This could be an intriguing race-long battle between the two of those. But we're out of turn 2, heading down through the Parabolica. And still, Jimmy Broadbent side by side there with Gamer Muscle.
Yeah, that was an incredible amount of wheel spin off the start. Couldn't keep it straight, snuck sideways. Honzik, and I think it was... I wanted to say it was Dan Suzuki he collected, but Dan's still running P11. We're going to have more contact out of the hairpin as they get crossed over. Oh, and payback. That's not going to work. Are they going to get by? Just barely. Everyone sneaks around in the background except for one. And it's going to be a huge amount of time lost. Is he going to get going again? Yes, he's going to start. Oh, look at the damage. That's a huge amount of damage, unfortunately.
That was right.
He's sneaking around, and yeah, I doesn't even look like he's really on it at this point. That car is going to be really sore.
Yeah, that's going to be back to the pit lane and get themselves some repairs here. So they do get a fast repair here. In fact, they get more than one here. So if you can get that car back to the pits and get it fixed, it's instantly fixed here.
So here's what I was talking about, though, with the common sense of staying out of other people's dramas and just keeping clean. We know he has the pace. Maxime just gets absolutely spun into that. Was that Maxime or James West? Excuse me.
That was Maxime around.
It was Maxime. So, yeah, that was her going around. Unfortunately, a little bit of contact involved there. But I was going to point out Lauren Heinrich, 4th place after lap 1. He's gone from 16th to 4th.
I mean, if there ever was a time to have a professional working the way through, that is exactly when all around you is chaotic. You just keep calm, keep cool, and keep collected, and just work your way through methodically, and that's what he's done. And already he's looking ahead. He's only 3 seconds behind Emily Jones, who is now your race leader, ahead of Tony Kanaan, with Althea Buck in 3rd place, and Lauren Heinrich, as you say, 4th place. We have had Jimmy Broadbent, Pierre-Olivier Valette, Yaroslav Honzig, and also Matthew Vaca, all on pit road to get repairs. And here's what happened then. This is Lauren Heinrich. No, that's not. Is that Heinrich?
It is Heinrich. Yeah, it's absolutely Heinrich, because he's running the official Porsche livery for the 992, that RSD livery that they released the cars to the customers in. And yeah, absolutely. So he... I don't know. Do we vote on a drive-through? Can we get like a drive-through vote going? Can we be the stewards? Come on, this guy can't just run away scot-free for that.
It was, and you mentioned it though, patience. You've got to have patience when you've got drivers who aren't, but with all respect to everyone out there on track, when some are faster than others, and the faster cars are driving from the back of the grid, you've got to have so much patience.
You see it even in practice sessions. Like, well, Bathurst, I'm doing stint practice and someone's doing quali practice, and it's like, I can't really let you by everywhere around this circuit. Maybe just wait a second, but they'll just run you off. Look at this battle as we jump on board with Meyer. That's a hard one to guess on the braking. A little bit of draft, which means you've got less downforce, less grip under braking, but it's also, you have to judge when the car in front of you is going to brake. I don't think there was contact there. I think it was just simply out braking themselves as, he's going to try again inside the hairpin. Good run out of it. Now, you can't go too far left, because if you do, the kink becomes a bit of a lift. You can lose the car with too much steering input. So both get through full throttle, but now the draft to the hairpin is what matters.
Oh, that gaggle of cars there in that mid-pack is absolutely tremendous. The way that they were all fighting over each other. There goes Quick. Tyson Meyer to the inside of Dan Suzuki. Outbrakes himself though, and Dan Suzuki goes, all right, thanks for that, mate. I'll take that back.
Yeah, speaking of your little suggestion of strategy, by the way, maybe you were right about Emily Jones. Are you noticing anything?
Well, I mean, she's in 1st place. She's got the fastest lap, but she has got Tony Kanaan right there with her, and Lauren Heinrich is catching up. So, yes, it may have been a little bit of a strategic play to start yourself up near the front of the field, but when you're dragging along 2 highly skilled professional drivers along with you, that's going to be a tough ask to try and defend.
Now, we didn't mention it. It was a while ago, and we've already seen the cars on pit road, but the meatball was thrown for 87, 64, and 9. So that's Jimmy Broadbent, DePilio, and Rye. We saw the damage on Rye. You cannot ignore a meatball. And ask me how I know that, Paul, because the most recent race I've done, I tried to. My power steering blew up, and I thought, well, the fluid's all gone now. I'm not smoking anymore. I'll just keep going. Nah, it didn't work. Didn't work for me. Tried.
Fastest lap, Lauren Heinrich. There's Tyson Meyer, who has got a sippy cup there by the looks of things, to have his refreshing beverage of choice. Please drink responsibly, don't drink and drive, is all I would say, but I'm not saying that he is. He's got a nice, cool, refreshing it's
probably
soda.
Milk in the sippy cup.
Milk.
That's a YouTube meme for anyone who's old enough to remember that one. This is going to be a move for the lead, potentially. Again, big, long braking point. Emily has to stay wide, side at the apex. Now, she's able to stay on the outside, which means she opens the corners slightly more, but TK does well to get on the power, and this becomes a bit of a game of chicken into the fast right-hand sweeper. You don't necessarily need to use all the track for the ideal line, so that gives Emily a little bit more to use on the outside of the curve without Tony necessarily taking track away, and she defends well. She looks like she's got a hold of the car this race, but again, while all of this is happening, Lauren Heinrich is closing up behind both of them.
Well, this is it. If you're too busy fighting each other, you're just going to invite others into your battle right there. And now we've got a 3-way train going on. It is Emily Jones who leads this one into the Sachs curve. Right behind her is Tony Kanaan, and right behind him is, of course, Lauren Heinrich. So 3 drivers all together, all tremendously skilled in this car. Heinrich taking a little bit of a wider entry into Sud Curve, trying to run at the speed through the corner onto the start and finish straight. It's not the longest straight out there here in Hockenheim. And there, Heinrich clattering the curbs there. Look at the speed he's able to carry.
And I said it, there is a limit on that curb where if you can get the front wheels hooked on it and allow the car to rotate, it'll actually work. If you just clip it and it unsettles the rear, it's a problem. But this is interesting. Oh, he's used a lot of curb there as well because he had to. If he doesn't use all that curb, he probably has to lift in the kink, but it's the draft for TK. So even though Lauren Heinrich got the job done with that excellent run at a turn 1, Tony now has the draft, and Tony the Tiger is going to try and slip down the inside again. I think Lauren's got the braking beat, and he's going to hold on to the position. Very well done. Very good braking control, I have to say, from Lauren Heinrich, who not only goes, I thought he was going to try and get an overlap just on drive on Emery.
Yeah, Emily Jones almost bump drafting through towards turn 7 here. Onto the brakes for 8, and Heinrich just looks so comfortable, doesn't he? Just no effort at all. He makes it look so easy on camera. You can see Emily, she's moving about a little bit more. She's fighting that car a little bit more. She knows she's under pressure. Heinrich, it's almost like just a lion just playing with its prey out there.
I do love that we're into the 992 this year. I think it's such I know that in real life, people would say the looser, the scarier the car, the more of a driver's car it is. But in the sim, I think the 992 is so rewarding for how aggressive you can get away with it while still being on the limit. And I think the racing this year is just going to be so good. Already seeing quite a race here. No doubt Heinrich has the pace, but turn 1's tough to go for. Such a fast turn-in point. Really don't want to go too wide into it. But again, lots of curve. He's looking for that run, and he might get this done already in turn 2.
It's almost like he's trying to get car rotation not just on the flat plane, but also in the air as well by taking that curb. Look at the three of them almost bumping into each other there through the apex of turn 2. And then out once again through the parabolica. And they're all just, this is a big high-speed game of chess right now. It's okay, I'll defend while you attack, while you've also got to defend as well. Could we go 3 wide into the hairpin? Tony Kanaan says no. Lauren Heinrich says, I want the lead. And Emily Jones goes, not so fast. Oh, 3 wide on corner exit, are we? No, Tony Kanaan, not quite there. But Lauren Heinrich's there. He's got the outside for 7. But if he holds it there, he's got the inside for 8. Oh, you've got to have a bit of cooperation between the two of you. Tight apex there. Emily carrying the speed out of turn 8 though. This is tremendous stuff at the front here.
Yeah, that was awesome. And again, they're going to go side by side as we head all the way back out. This is not done yet. Tight left-hander. Now, this one, you do need all the track. You're into the old stadium section, which gets very narrow. The man with the best run on this is actually Tony Kanaan because he had the most track to use on entry, but Heinrich finally gets through, finally gets the job done. That started all the way back on the straight, the Parabolica straight, which again isn't really a straight. I know it sounds confusing, it is, but no, that was great defending in the hairpin from Emily, and it's a tough one because Lauren, she's so far to the right, it's almost a blind spot, and he doesn't really know her breaking point on that, so he had to stay wide. And yeah, we got a 3 wide moment. We had it all. We had everything, but Lauren just holding on and pinching out Emily into the stadium, keeps the car nice and controlled on the exit. Now we'll see if the draft can do anything.
Well, why don't we give you a bit of sights and sounds here as we go full throttle, powered by Bose. That was our full throttle powered by Bose lap then. We are watching the Porsche All-Stars main race here. Paul Smith, Matt Trivet here on commentary, and we have got a tremendous motor race coming here for you today. It's Lauren Heinrich, who started at the very back of the grid, who by the end of lap 1 made it up to 4th place. He's up into the lead right now. Emily Jones is trying to hang on to his coattails in 2nd place, and Tony Kanaan just doesn't seem to be quite hanging on quite as much to the two of them. And then we've got a bit of a scrap for 4th place. Borja Zaza, Heike 360, Quirk, and also Dan Suzuki off the back of those drivers as well. So we've got tremendous racing all the way through the hit field here, Matt. And certainly this is a great way to start the season.
Yeah, phenomenal way to start the season. Just to give you an indication as well, we talked a little bit about the iRating, but didn't really get into it. 8,700 iRating for Lauren Heinrich. That's higher than some of the guys we will see in PESC a little bit later on. Yes, you said it. He was a former PESC driver and raced in the Porsche Esports Supercup that we're going to see coming up just in a little bit. But that's a super high rating, to be completely honest with you. And most of the field is quite high. I think the lowest. Interestingly, Riot, I don't know if this is an error, 1350? I think that has to be. He's got to be higher than that, surely, Paul. But yeah, all these guys put in a ton of time on the sim, and you're seeing it now, including Tony Kanaan, who's up to a 4,000 rating now. I know these might sound like abstract numbers to you if you're not familiar with the service, but that's why you should sign up and get used to it, because it's a good little rating system. It all depends on your results, your safety rating, etc. And TK is showing some pretty good form here. He's holding on to this battle. Emily's trying desperately to stay with Lauren Heinrich, but he's now 1.2 seconds up the road. 15 places gained as we jump to the Vodafone onboard way back in the field with Book.
Absolutely, it's great to have her along here as well.
I say way back, she's in 10th position.
10th
she's not
place,
that far back at all, really.
No, and when you look at some of the drivers behind, okay, some of them got involved in instant. Maxime, Jimmy Broadbent, Jardier. You know, there's a number of drivers behind her that would have had aspirations on a higher result than this, but certainly Book doing a good job on her debut.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, didn't race at all with us last year in the All-Star Series, so good to have her on board. Last year we did have another female that's not with us this time, but I just want to give a shout out to Gabby, who's been making quite a name for herself. So far, I follow her on the Instagram, and I think I follow all these people on Instagram, all these drivers, but over in the States the last few weeks with Praga, doing some endurance racing, and I think she's won just about every race so far with them and in that car. So yeah, she's doing a little more of the real life stuff this year, but she was a good addition last year to the grid. It's always good to see different drivers come through that sort of, not just the YouTubers, but some real life influence, as well as diehard simmers, and get to know the personalities that I think deserve credit, right? I mean, it's not just about the esports and competition. Sim has its own community as well, and these guys have done a lot for it.
Yeah, a lot of focus is put on the pro sim racers and on those drivers who drive within a millimeter accuracy. But sim racing isn't just about those pros. It's about the community. It's about everybody who takes part in sim racing. And you know, it doesn't matter what you compete in, what type of car or tracks that you prefer, or whether you're a dirt oval, for example. I mean, I've never done dirt oval myself, but I've heard it's an absolute barrel of laughs and really good fun here. So, you know, these you know, this is really a celebration of sim racing as a whole here with the All-Stars.
Absolutely. Dan Suzuki's on the move. Last lap 3/10 faster than Tyson Meyer, just in front of him. So Kirk is about to get worked. Sort of mind. We'll go with it, as he's definitely trying to track him down. Not a lot of time left in this. We've got 5 laps to go, so 2/3 of the race already done. And we haven't talked a lot about tires. The 992 and the current tire model doesn't have as much of a dramatic fall off. It definitely will be noticeable. You'll be 2 to 3, 4 tenths down throughout the course of a stint. Maybe a little more for the PESC guys who are hanging it out, because they're going to be on, you know, the knife's edge. But I don't think it's quite as dramatic as it was last year with the old tire model, where there was a very clear falling point. I think the threshold and the feel and the feedback from the current tire gives you a bit more information on how to keep it within the optimal range, whereas last year, yeah, you could really struggle. So even though there's 5 laps left, these guys should still have a little bit left to go on the attack, as long as they haven't been too ambitious with the throttle.
Well, here's somebody who's had a tough time of it here in this All-Stars race. Depayo down there in 15th place. He's busy talking to his stream as well and enjoying himself out there. And, well, it's not the race that you would have wanted here in this main race, but you can see a car down the road there. So, and it's going slowly as well. So the 15 car having issues out there.
Ah, you're right. It is the 15 car. I thought it was going to be Jimmy Broadbent, but it is. I'm looking at Yardier on the timing screen. So yeah, he is catching slowly at this point in time, but still a position to be had. Little battle to be had between them. Always a bit of fun.
Well, look at this. Dan Suzuki putting the pressure on Quirk right now. This battle for 5th place. They've allowed Porsche Zaza to pull out a 1.2 second lead between the two of them. So Quirk, Dan Suzuki, they're scrapping it out here. And Suzuki, he wants by. He wants to get by. But Quirk, he's a hard charger. He's somebody who will put up a hard defense out there.
Yeah, and keep in mind, he's up quite a few spots this race. As I just looked, 10 spots this race as he started second last, finished second in the first race. We said it was an understated second. We didn't talk about it a lot more toward the end because he was just quietly going about business and got the job done pretty early on, but definitely a hard charger. We'll see if he has anything left against Dan Suzuki. The purple highlight on the timing tower on our left-hand side, just so you know, is for the fastest lap of the race, and there is an additional point gained for that. So worth noting that it's even if you're down the order and you think you've got some pace, charge on, make up some points where you can. This year in F1, I know, whatever, you can have your opinions. I don't want to get into that, but it was interesting to see with the close championship that it was, the first time we saw the fastest lap start to become a real priority, and using second drivers to try and steal it away if the top driver wasn't in a position. And it just goes to show, like, every point counts in a championship is where I'm going with this. So yeah, kind of cool that they're bringing that over here, and right now Lauren Heinrich has it.
Yeah, he certainly does. And I mean, it's an incredible drive. I mean, we do expect it to a degree for somebody who used to race in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup to be able to work your way through the field and get to the front. I mean, it's 3.6 seconds, 3.7 seconds
well, we're gonna
in front. And wow, this is a unique look, isn't it? Yeah,
this is Aichin Guven's, Kick Kirk's team for the All-Star race. No, it's just the black and gray overlapping, but I do love it. It's just his face over and over and over. I think that should be the new Kappa logo, in my opinion. Should we do a jelly bean contest? How many faces are on the livery, and the closest guest wins?
And what do they win, Matt? Nothing.
The respect
of everybody. The respect of everybody else in knowing how many.
You put me on the spot, all right? Don't do that. You get your iRacing subscription paid for 2 months by me, because I'm the one putting myself on the spot for that.
Well, there we go, folks. Get your guesses in. Let's whilst you're doing that, you can also go and log on to iRacing.com if you are watching this and thinking, well, I want to try my hand at iRacing. Get yourself online, iRacing.com, for details of how to join this tremendous community and get yourself involved in some hard-fought racing. Here's
something I thought of the other day in looking at liveries and things. We are in the sim world. Why can't we have GIFs on the liveries? I mean, maybe it's too much for graphics cards, but hear me out, right? Because we have the LED lights. This is gonna be a good drafting point, so just get excited in your own here for a second. Yeah, the art engineers would kill me. Get the inside line here. Kicker's gonna go wide to try and open up the corner so we can still get a drive on the exit, but it's gonna be tight between him and Dan Suzuki, who gets a little bit too much drifting going on. So I think the run goes back to Kicker. But picture this, right? Because you could have these cool animations like flames and stuff, but what if his face, if there was contact, went from him just being stone face like that to it's like a reaction face? Or if he's winning, it's just all smiles or something, right? Like that, why not? Why not?
Do you have the Nyan cat going down the doorsill or something?
Yeah, and it's waving the whole time. Exactly. Man, come on, let's go. That has to be the future of sim racing, is GIF liveries.
Well, there you go. There's a challenge for the art team. to try and get that optimized. But as we get into this, by the way, that is not a feature that's coming to iRacing soon. That is not.
Yes, it is.
Happening.
I'm going to make it happen. No, it's not. It's definitely not. Before I get fired for putting them on the spot, it's not, okay?
3 minutes remain in this race. We've got 2 more laps here. And yeah, the gap at the front is up to 5 seconds. Emily Jones has got about a 1.5 second gap over her and Tony Kanaan. So really, it's this battle here that we've been looking at, and also Borja Zaza putting the pressure on Tony Kanaan as well. So we've got a battle for 3rd and a battle for 5th going on. And there you see that battle for 5th in that bottom right-hand box right now. And, well, Zaza just not quite close enough, but he's got time here, and about a lap and a half.
Lap and a half. But 5-second lead for Heinrich. The rest of it's kind of close. Tony Kanaan still holding on, but it's going to be so tight. Zaza, you're right, just continuing to close in, getting closer and closer to that draft as well. Just looking at incident points, if I can do the math, I think Quirk might be kind of close at this point. Heinrich just got an off-track incident on lap 14. First I've seen him pop up in recent time. I take that back. He had one on lap 12 as well. But yeah, there's a few people here with the contact early on. It's going to be a bit tight.
There you go on board then with Borja Zaza as he's coming in to Saps Curve. Once again, the penultimate time around here. Of course, this is the old stadium section that's been here for, well, as long as I can remember it, that's for sure. Through the final 2 corners, through the Supercup, and then we are starting the final lap of our All-Stars race. Make sure you stick around at the end of this one, because we will have our thoughts of our drivers out there that have been racing here in this All-Stars race. And then, of course, we have got the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup coming up as well a little bit later, along with an announcement coming forward. And Borja, he did that in race 1. He's done it again in race 2.
Yeah, that was a bit of letting off the brake a bit early in the midpoint of the corner, letting it roll a little too much. That's going to put TK down 3 positions. Presumably, he's going to be running the entire time in this championship. Now, Quirk has apparently 1x left in this race, so he can't defend super hard. And Suzuki is going to try and go up the inside again. He's locked it himself. That's going to give TK a chance to get a position back potentially. But you can see how wide both times Quirk was going on that defense, because if he even gets touched, even though it's not his fault, he could be in a DQ situation. So has to be very careful. Fortunately for him, this is the final lap.
Yeah, absolutely. And time is... Oh, Tony just running wide through 8. Time is running out for Dan Suzuki, and the opportunities to overtake are running out as well as they're heading in to the stadium section for the final time in this race. But one man who has certainly had it all pretty much his own way in this race. Here he is, Lauren Heinrich, through the Sud curve for the final time. He's going to see that checkered flag, give us a bit of a drift. He does that onto the gravel. And, well, there's no change in emotion on his face. I was hoping he was going to be a bit more happier than that. Emily Jones is going to finish in 2nd place. And here's that battle for 4th place. It's going to be won by Tyson Meyer. Quirk doing a superb job bringing that car across in 4th place. But Tony Kanaan, he will be spitting feathers at Borja Zaza, and I think he's let him know what his feelings are on that.
Yeah, pulled over in front of him. Maybe a little bit disappointed with that maneuver, but I don't know. We'll see if there's any scrutineering involvement on that one after the fact. Few hits. I mean, you go back, we talked about it on, what was it, lap 3 or 4? Lauren Heinrich did the same to Maxime, so it's not like he's is entirely clean in this race, but good start to the season. I love that we break in the audience with these guys on track.
Yeah, it always produces some tremendous action once again. Well, let us head on over then to the Buzz post-race show here, and we will get you your results up on screen momentarily. But that was certainly an exciting race. Lauren Heinrich then did the last to first challenge and gets himself another win and fastest lap in that race ahead of Emily Jones in 2nd place. Borja Zaza, controversial 3rd place for him, ahead of Tyson Meyer and Dan Suzuki. as the standings just update a little bit there as well. And well, it's Heike 360, 6th place ahead of Matt Malone. Gaming Muscle in 8th place, James West with 9th place there for Althea Book, with Jimmy Broadbent rounding out the top 10. Rest of your standings there, and Tony Kanaan is actually being classified. So he must have had a penalty on that final lap that he did not serve.
I'm just looking through to see if that was the case. Yeah, he might have got a
slowdown penalty.
Slowdown or maybe a drive-through on X's. I'm trying to see exactly where it was, because I don't know where I would have seen a slowdown come from him. I didn't see him cut anywhere on the corners. He went wide in the arena section, but that was all I did see from it. But yeah, I'd have to go back and do some math on the early X's. There was a lot of them in this race for me to scroll through. So interesting. Yeah, he gets classified far down the order, and that contact may have done it. We said that, Quirk was very close as well. Anyone else even hits him, and he's going to be in that situation. So maybe that's also why Tony was so upset at the end and, gesticulated with his car movement. But here is the points. Lauren Heinrich, unbeaten on the day.
And look at that battle for second place. Borges up and Quirk both fighting it out for that second place at the end of this first week. Dan Suzuki, 4th ahead of Emily Jones. Bit of a recovery drive for Emily then to get herself back up into 5th place in the championship to defend her championship here. Matt Malone 6th ahead of Heike 360, and then the rest of the standings are there up on screen. We could get our breath here, Matt, because that was tremendous, and hopefully in a few minutes' time we'll also get to hear from some of our drivers.
Yeah, I just want to point out as well, with Matt Campbell coming into this a little bit later on, also someone who raced in the Virtual Le Mans this year, obviously was involved in the FAF winning car at Daytona, full factory driver, and is a proper sim racer. But Larry Ten Voorde is going to be very interesting, because most people would argue that his experience in a Porsche Cup car, he is probably the fastest driver in the world. He's so familiar with this machinery. So it'll be interesting to see how it translates to sim for him. And I've not seen him do too much sim myself. So it'll be fun to have him on board as well, and just be able to pick his brain on the car and the model. And don't forget as well, I know there's some people in the chat itching for it. Yes, our Porsche Esports Supercup is coming up very soon, and we'll get back into another season, the 4th season of the championship. As Paul, this is just going to be a great day, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, and hopefully, first of all, we'll get to hear the thoughts of our race winner, then, Lauren Heinrich, and he's standing by with yourself there, Matt.
Yes, thank you very much, Lauren. How are you? I saw you very briefly in Gronau. You've been a busy man this year, coming back from Dubai, straight into the sim, 2nd place in that race, the Virtual Le Mans, and now you're here doing some all-star stuff. Pretty busy schedule now that you're a junior.
Hi, guys. Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you. As you say, it's quite stressful. Yeah, a lot of events, a lot of races, but I enjoy it a lot, especially in the winter now. I can race a bit more in the simulator, which I really enjoy. And also thank you a lot to Porsche for this invite to this event, because it was just unique. I mean, imagine racing Tony Kanaan was something really special for me, and I think for everybody in this race.
Yeah, and I know when I was in Gronau and I was asking people, and I mentioned this on broadcast as well, I was saying, is it a worry that you guys are, everyone's here, all the data's here, the team's here, and you're off in Dubai practice time, and they all went, no, this guy's faster than us potentially in sim. And you've obviously raced in PESC. You got over 8,000 iRating. This must have been a bit easier than perhaps some of the other races you've done. But how's the 992 compared to the 991 in iRacing?
It may have looked easy, but it was not. I mean, you can see I'm sweating, so I was still pushing. And yeah, coming to a question, the 992, I think it's really well made. I think it's really close to the real car. It's even closer to the real car than the 991 was. So I'm really happy, because it's for me a really good tool to prepare for my real races. And I think just how the car is right now is really close to be perfect. And especially on a track like Hockenheim, where I've driven that car also in real life, is where I can see many parallels between the virtual and the real world.
I don't want to get too much into your schedule yet, because I know some of the stuff going on behind the scenes, but some of it can't be fully talked about. But what do we expect to see from you over the winter with sim? Is there going to be any official races, or are you going to do more of this stuff with us? What's your plans?
Now for the winter, I'm planning to do the Bathurst 12 hour next week. So I'm really looking forward. And that's the closest race as of now. And then after I just have to see what's coming up, and I hope also that the real racing will start soon again.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I hope it does too. I think we're in for a good season. I'm loving the 992 so far in the sim and in the real world. It's looking awesome. So best of luck. Thanks for joining us. Congrats on a double win. Pretty solid performance.
Thank you.
Very cool. Paul, as we get to pick the brains of a Porsche Junior this year, Lauren Heinrich, very fast individual. Like I say, even the Pro Sim guys say like he is on it. He can beat anyone on the day, no question about it. So definitely one I hope we get to see more of this season. But right now, we've got to talk to second place in this race, champion from last year. But Emily Jones, I'm going to pick on you a little bit. What happened in qualifying? What happened in race one?
A series of errors. Some of them I'm going to blame on my sim rig, but some of them I should probably just blame on myself as well. It's early in the morning, and you know sometimes you wake up and you're like, yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm awake. Let's go racing. And then sometimes you wake up and you're like, I don't want to be awake right now.
That's me every day.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately I had one of those days today. So I was just really rattled, and in qualifying, I was just like, I was a bit off the pace, so I was pushing so hard I didn't put a lap down because I was just tilted. And then in race one, I actually had a shifter disconnect, so my shifter disconnected, and I got stuck in fourth gear, and then I couldn't do much from there.
Yeah, both shifters, like you couldn't downshift either.
Yeah,
I guess, but you wouldn't want to because then you'd be stuck in a lower gear.
Exactly, yeah. So it disconnected. It was like, it's kind of intermittent. So it was like cutting in and out for about a lap or so. Luckily, it was on an upshift. So I kind of got stuck pulling gears up. Sometimes it happens on downshifts, and it's like, you can't downshift. It's scary.
Yeah, it sounds similar to Rudy Van Buren's issue in the virtual Le Mans, which he was saying was not ideal, I imagine. But you got it sorted for race 2 and back to normal for you. Pretty solid result behind a guy who's very quick in sim, Lauren Heinrich. But yeah, good start for the championship, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah, definitely. Lauren's so fast, you know, pro driver himself, pro sim racer. Like he is incredibly fast, and following him was very difficult. That was like, honestly, out of all the races I've done, I think that second I worked really, really hard for. Like my pace was really not good compared to the other cars. I think TK was faster than me, but he kind of made some mistakes. So I was pretty lucky to get second, I think, at the end of the day.
Whatever. Race pace is everything. You held it together. It's good to have you back this season as well. I know you've been simming like crazy as always, so 992 is going to be a bit of fun for you in the first half of the year.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to be back. It's good to see you and everyone else back as well for some more PESC. I think this car, it's a bit easier to drive than the old Cup car, so it means that the field's going to be a lot closer and the time's a lot tighter. So I think it's going to be, just a really good thing altogether.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it. But we've got someone new to the championship this year as well. Quirkatized. I hope I'm saying it right, but Quirk, you did awesome today. Tons of fun. Best livery on the grid. Okay.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. What do you make it today? Because I think were you 1x from a DQ?
I was 1x from a DQ, like with 5 laps to go, and my stress was through the roof there. It was pretty brutal.
I noticed in the hairpin you were staying very wide every time Dan presented his nose.
Yeah, I was waiting for him to take it, and then I was waiting for him to take me.
Yeah, well, it was a good race for you. What do you make of the series so far? Because obviously last year you were not involved in this, but it's quite competitive considering it's a bunch of influencers, so to speak.
Yeah, even though most of us can't really drive, it was still really good. It was a lot of fun. I was pleased to see that there was a lot of close racing, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Who are you most familiar with on the grid that you want to beat this year? Surely you've got some rivalries between these guys.
Probably Tony Kanaan, Matt Malone. I'd like to try to beat Emily because she's really quick and she was winning a lot of the races last year.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing if you can or not. It's fitting you said Matt Malone because we've got him standing by right now. Thank you so much, Tyson, and good job today.
Thank you.
Matt, Tyson says he wants to beat you. What is with your camera, man? Like you were getting into the commentary. I was like, this guy's going to be so professional and you can't even set your rig up.
Okay, well, here's I got a little cardboard box with a camera sitting on it. Sometimes the
Is it an empty box?
It is an empty box. Yes, so that makes it. Maybe I need to put some weights in there to kind of weigh it down. Maybe get some rubber bands. Had a little issue there.
Yeah, really. We were noticing Paul was calling it realism. He was like, "Oh, look how hard he's driving. The camera shake." And then our producer's like, "No, that just fell off. That was just not planned."
I just got major issues.
Well, what did you make of the first race of the season? Because last year you joined us halfway through. This time you weren't going to miss any of it.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm here from the start this time. This was great. That first race for me was a real nail biter, and I ended up fourth. I don't know how that happened, but second race for me it was a crazy start, but kind of slowed down for me there. But wow. Yeah, I love the field. Love the new fresh faces. Love the old guys coming back in. Cork's a great addition. He's really fast. This is wonderful, man. I can't wait till the next one.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it thoroughly, and obviously we got a good variety of tracks. You guys are going to be in a couple different cars this year as well. I mean, who do you, with Kirk coming in, he says he wants to beat you. Because again, last year you weren't really in the full championship. Who do you have to beat in the standings? Otherwise, you're like, you know what, I can't do this anymore.
I always like to go against Jimmy. I feel like we're pretty even certain car track combos. So yeah, if I can beat Jimmy, that's a good day. And now that Cork's in it, I guess I'll strive to try to beat him, but he's always been a little pretty quick. So it's going to be tough for me to beat Cork, but I'll try. I mean, he said he's trying to beat Emery. No way I can get that high, but so I'll just do my best.
You just need her tracks, rig. You just need her rig to keep failing. If that happens, you guys, apparently that was the issue. So
yeah.
Well, speaking of rigs failing, maybe invest into a tripod or something.
Yeah.
I can send you some Amazon links if you'd like. And
I'm just gonna get a rock and some rubber bands. It'll be fine.
I like it. Oh, well, awesome to have you with us for the full season this year, Matt.
All right, thank you,
Paul. That was a heck of a race, and I think it's fun to see these guys all laughing and smiling at the end. If I say guys, obviously Emily in there. I say that universally, but yeah, good start.
Yeah, everybody having fun, because at the end of the day, yeah, they wanted to win a championship, but they want to have fun out there, and that's exactly what we wanted to see here. And it was great to see them all with smiles on the faces there, but I had so much fun watching that and calling the commentary on that one.
Absolutely. I think I've had more fun cosplaying as you, but no, that was a ton of fun, and I do think it was a good race to start us off.
Well, make sure you stick around, because after this, we have got Countdown brought to you by Tag Heuer with a special announcement in that show. And then after that, it's the first round of the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup for 2020.
They say it's just a game for kids, and it's not even that realistic. We've been told to think about the long term and get a proper job. Some say we just sit around all day. And we should do something more exciting with our lives.
Oh, don't downplay that.
Like finance, for example. Come on. How hard can it be? Apparently, we should get out more. And it's really cute we get to play on our computer all day.
I had fun watching. I don't know about you. It was certainly a surprise.
Let's see what you say. The Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup starts February 5th, live on YouTube and Twitch.
Get some laps in.
The first on-track action in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup for 2020 is just moments away here at Hockenheim, and we're going to preview all that you need to know in this, the countdown presented by Tag Heuer. My name is Connery Maddock, and I'm joined by the ever wonderful Justin Prince for this one as we get set for another season. Justin, there's a lot to cover. We probably can't cover all of it in this first countdown presented by Tag Heuer, but maybe once we get a couple rounds into it, we can cover everything that we want to cover. But however, first of all, how great is it to be here back in Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup action with these sim races, the top level on sim racing, going head to head?
It's absolutely exciting to say the very least, first of all, because this is expected to be a very intriguing season because these drivers have a different car to race with, a lot of different tracks to try and battle at. And in turn, a lot of these competitors are going to be hungry for the chance to try and become a champion. This is not going to be the easiest campaign to say the very least, Connery, though. But it's also important to start the season off right with the right momentum. If you struggle early, it could get interesting. These first opening races are going to be so critical in turn.
I think it was only going to be a matter of time before the M word got dropped. Momentum, that is the important thing here in these early couple of rounds. You get yourself off to a good start, then, well, you might be in with the running for the championship at the very end of the season. However, we are still a very, very long way from that point. We've got many rounds to go before we even consider a championship fight. And, well, something that we've planned for you early on in the season is the fact that you, at home, get to decide which track we go to for round number 3 of the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. So race 3 track voting is now live. Check the link in the description, and I assume it's going to be posted in the chats by our lovely moderators as well, and choose your favorite track for the March the 5th round. And you get the choice between 4 tracks. You either get Watkins Glen, Long Beach, the Hungaroring, or Interlagos, Justin.
And it's going to be an intriguing sort of layout. First things first when it comes to these. Watkins Glen, of course, updated recently on the iRacing service, different curbing to battle along with, and in turn, that may impact some of the action there. With that track, I think, Connery, it could provide some great action. The 90 could be a great passing opportunity, the run for the boot, but also the bus stop and its potential for incidents in melee, maybe something drivers have to try and battle and plan for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you have to ask me, of course, we can't influence which track you're going to vote for. That is your complete free choice. But if I was voting in this one, I would probably be torn between Long Beach and Interlagos. Of course, we saw Long Beach in the Contender Series, the qualifying series for this season. And that gave us a pretty decent race, surprisingly, given how tight and twisty and how chaotic that circuit can be. So I would, if we see Long Beach, then potentially we might see these top drivers on iRacing try to tame what is a very tricky street circuit.
And you can't forget about a track like the Hungaroring, though, because that's provided some great racing across the platform since its debut on the service last year. It's also a track with plenty of drafting spaces and some big send opportunities. I'm curious if that ends up getting the nod in turn. But you mentioned it there with Interlagos as well. I have to mention Connery. Such a classic. There's been plenty of major series battles in Brazil in the past. It's definitely going to be a tear between tracks like Hungaroring and Interlagos for some.
Of course, you see Interlagos at the bottom of the list of 4 there. Fantastic circuit. I don't think it really needs that much of an introduction, just like Spa-Francorchamps or the Nürburgring. It is a staple of motorsports and on the top level of motorsports as well. And it's a fantastic track to see side-by-side racing as well. Through that tight and twisty middle sector, the side-by-sides, the door-to-door action through there, it can't really get any better than that, Justin. And now coming up, we do have a bit of a driver's parade for you. So these are going to be all the names that you're going to see here in this season of the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup, and these will also be the liveries that they will be competing in as well, just to familiarize yourself with the drivers.
And the first things first, you cannot talk about racing on the road course on iRacing without talking about this name, Maximilian Benecke. He's been quick throughout his entire time on the platform, Connery. He's expected to be very blistering quick, Mr. 10K, as some people call him. But you also can't forget about the newcomers like Peter Berryman or Biko, who were expected to be very quick for their own right, Connery.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, a lot of these names you will recognize from seasons previous here in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup, but this is not one of them. That's one of our rookies for the Quanda Sim Sports team. That's Oscar Bixrud. Of course, he got promoted from the Quanda Junior team. Now he's a full-time member. And of course, we have the Frenchman of Jeremy Bootloop, who unfortunately, this will be his last season of sim racing competition. He's retiring at the end of this one, Justin.
Yeah, and that was interesting to see that announcement come into play, but plenty of years on the service. But one of the new guard potential drivers is this one you see here, Zach Campbell, who mentioned where he felt like he's someone that's never ever really confident, but he feels like with the new car, he's definitely going to be kept on his toes for this campaign, especially the whirlwind when it comes to preparing for a season such as this one.
We have Jordan Caruso there from Altus Esports joining us in this for the first time as well. Basically, the Rookie of the Year from last season, Charlie Collins, joins us once again. I gotta say, Charlie Collins, I think if he gets just that little bit faster compared to last year, he's definitely going to be one of our championship contenders.
Yeah, that's an understatement, especially you can't forget about drivers such as Kevin Ellis Jr., veteran on the platform, along with some of his fellow technical alliance mates. Jamie Fluke also expected to be very quick as well. These drivers have been preparing a lot, to say the very least, for this run this season to compete against even some of the real-world drivers who have some experience there, like Yassi.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see Jeff Giassi back in action as we have Kamil Grabowski also joining us as a rookie coming into this one as well from that Williams Esports team. It's fantastic to see him. Ayaan Changuvum, of course, no stranger to Porsche racing in the sim world and, of course, in the real world as well. He joins us here for this one as well as Johan Haaf for the Apex Racing team, also getting himself involved. So, these are all names that we've seen before in seasons previous in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup, but this is one of those drivers that is looking to get a second title. That is Sebastian Job, and with Rogers not competing, he's the only driver that's going to be able to try and double up in terms of championships.
And that's going to be the intriguing part, I think, Connery, especially with some of the other drivers we'll see here battling about, because Job has the experience. He's been working a lot in the sim racing world for the past year plus. He was in the conversation last campaign, Connery, remember as well. He has a great chance to try and become a two-time champion winner and put himself in amongst the elite of the elite history-wise. It's not going to be the easiest task, though, especially knowing drivers like Pinto, let's say. They're also expected to be very quick, and a new look for him.
Yeah, in particular, Diogo Pinto doing pretty well in the Deutschland Carrera Cup version of this esports competition, fighting out with Maximilian Bernecker in that one. Alejandro Sanchez, probably one of the fan favorites, at least on the Spanish side. Let's see what he's able to do for this season as we still continue to run through these drivers. A couple of fantastic liveries as well on these cars. There's the Kova esports car of Matti Sipler. Finland always representing in terms of the top level here on iRacing.
Yeah, and a beautiful livery to boot. We talked about this a little bit in some of the special events. They're more retro-esque 1980s/1990s look to the branding for this campaign. But you'll see the rest of some of these newcomers. It's going to be a tough task to be able to try and battle with the best of the best. But here's the main thing to think about. With the new car, it's the potential of a reset period, so to speak, Conway. A chance to level the playing field where whoever's able to find the best speed early on may keep that momentum early on, again with the M word. But you get what I mean in terms of that regard. For some of these drivers, it could be anybody who ends up being the front runner early.
Yeah, it really is. That's what makes this competition so fantastic, is that the margins are just so close. There's only a tenth or so of a second between the front of the field and the very rear of the field. That's how close it is. We see Gianni Vecchio there from Team Redline. Redline have a pretty strong contingent here in this season. Maximilian Bernecker, Alexander Tiber, Patrick Holtzman, we'll get to Jeff Giassi, Bernecker, Pinto, and Vecchio as the representatives from Team Redline as we run through the rest of these drivers from RAG Esports. Then Dane Warren from Coanda.
And of course, when it comes to Dane Warren, we've seen a lot of him over the past few years, especially very quick driver. Also expect to be a front runner. Same can be said for drivers like Cooper Webster representing Red Bull Racing Esports this campaign. He has had a lot of momentum, to say the very least, across the sim over the past year. Don't forget about, though, this red car, David Williams, could also be a championship contender, in my opinion, this year.
Of course, David Williams was one of those that had to re-qualify into this season due to finishing in the bottom half of the field last time out. So he's had a very, very busy off season compared to everyone else. There is Bobby Zelensky, of course, a multi-talented driver here on iRacing, competes in the Ignacio Hook series as well. Always a force to be reckoned with regards to that. So before we toss it over to the commentary team for today's proceedings, Justin, what are your expectations coming into this one?
My expectations are for a lot of the drivers, if they want to show what they have early on, they need to limit mistakes. They have to be able to figure out, okay, is it worth taking this risk for this dive at this moment early on in the respective race? Are you willing to try and have that be your first impression for the start of the new campaign. In other words, I'm expecting some drivers to show their hands, others to be careful, but the main thing is, take the checkered, get the early points to start off strong.
Yeah, that's got to be the name of the game. Drivers are out there just about to get themselves into qualifying mode. Of course, we've managed to coordinate our outfits here in the analyst segment, as well as the guys over in the commentary booth as well. But we do have to wrap things up here for the countdown to green for the, well, powered by Tag Heuer, and we'll send it over to Paul, and not Paul, I mean Matt. Go.
Green flag, and we are off for the sprint race in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup, round number 5 at Road Atlanta.
$200,000 on the line. Who will rise to the challenge?
Racing for immortality. This is Esports personified. This is the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup.
Well, it was 287 days ago that we crowned our 2021 Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup champion. Well, we're here at the Hockenheim ring for the opening round of the 2022 championship and the first step on deciding who is going to win that championship. Paul Smith here alongside me is Sadie Kister. Matt, I mean, this is what we've waited for quite a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, 287 days. We were at the Hockenheim ring in the Porsche Experience Center, where I've conveniently been placed, essentially on the roof of that building right now, to crown our championship last year, and our champion Josh Rogers. Now, obviously, they've got other obligations this year. Different challenges await. That opens the door in this championship. Sebastian Job, probably the first one you'd look to walk through it, become a double champion. But you've got to look at other guys. Alejandro Sanchez constantly is a threat. Now, last year didn't have the greatest of seasons in consistency, got actually taken out in the first round at Brazil by Josh Rogers. Bit of an issue for Josh in the feature race where he clipped the curb and spun and took them both out. Uncharacteristic, shall we say. But there's other guys as well that I would look to. Charlie Collins jumps off the page as me. Excellent rookie season last year. Played rear gunner to Josh. Now that Josh isn't there, does he take the reins? You've got other Coanda drivers. You've got a third driver brought in for Red Bull to support both Sebastian Job and Graham Carroll. That'll help them in practice now that their obligations are divided and they're a little busier in the sim world. Graham as well could be a reconnaissance season. I don't know that I favor him for a championship, but I do look to him as someone who could be improving on his performances from last year, shall we say.
Well, let's take a look at where we are today. And it's the opening round of the championship here at the Hockenheim ring. Tremendous circuit. It's a challenging track as well for those drivers out there. 4.5 kilometers long, 17 turns in the original circuit opening 1932. It's had several iterations, several changes over the years, and this the most recent one in 2002. We saw in the All-Stars how there can be some overtakes made, but you can also defend around here.
You absolutely can. You're totally right on that. It really is a braking circuit, and those who are able to be delicate and modulate the brakes a little bit and carry some speed through, obviously, turn 2, turn 4, the hairpin, are going to be the benefactors of that, and it's definitely going to be a bit of drafting involved, no question about that. Tires, as we say, not as much a factor on the 992 as the 991. The current tire model doesn't seem to fall off the cliff quite as much. It seems to be more gradual as a tire more realistically is. There is a falling point, but it's usually much further down the line than what we were seeing previously. So yeah, I think this car, you can really wrestle it a little bit more, threshold in that sort of driving and how much you can get away with sliding and whatnot. So yeah, into qualifying qualifying already. A couple of other names I just want to bring to the front now. Jeff Giassi had an excellent onboard that he posted, a lap guide on Twitter. Team Redline put that out on his behalf. He could be a threat here today. He looks very well composed, very sorted. Diego Pinto, another aggressive driver. Last year came in as a rookie and certainly was someone that other drivers are saying it's tough to race around him because he is so aggressive. And then, of course, Max Benecca as another Team Redline driver. Those three could all be a threat for that stable. Of course, it's not a team's championship, but they still support each other. They still work together. They still do setups together. And it's worth mentioning that. So another couple of names, like I say, and you obviously got to look at guys, even like Brian Lockwood that can be outside contenders. Aichin Gouvan, maybe he gets a little more. Yeah, lots of names this year. Lots of opportunity for people to step up.
Lots of drivers changing teams. One driver who hasn't changed teams is that man that we're seeing on screen right now, which is Sebastian Job, the 2020 Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup champion. And you can see here, he is burning a hot lap to be able to just prepare those tyres, prepare his car for his second flying lap. And you see quite a few drivers taking this approach in this car.
Yeah, these tires don't come in as quickly. There's going to be more scrutineering. I know that there's been talk about it. I'm just going to bring it up. The brake dragging issue where you include the clutch. Last year, that was a factor. That would get your tires up to temperature right away. On the current tire set, depending on the circuit length and depending on sort of the heat you generate on your outlap, the first lap can be quick, but I find generally it's better to baby the tires in, and the second lap tends to be the hotter. Second flying lap, that is. So outlap, first lap, second lap is, I find, where you can get the most consistency out of the tires. So set a banker lap would be my recommendation on that first lap. You're still going to have some temperature. Put something safe on the table so you're not scrambling if the second lap doesn't go your way, and then you can really start to push.
Well, that's one man, Zach Campbell, who impressed in his debut season. This isn't Zach Campbell. This is Jeff Giassi, who you mentioned about, from Brazil, and has driven in the real world out there as well in Brazil in a Porsche. So he's got plenty of experience, and he is pushing hard early on in this session here. So he's setting personal best in the first couple of sectors. So he's pushing on his opening flying lap here. He's not babying the tires in.
No, and again, you do want to set a banker lap, but you don't want to overdrive the tires either. And especially the fronts on the 992, you can really drive over the front end of the car a little bit more. You're going to see a lot of that getting way out wide to swing into the final corner. You can use all of the curve there, all of the AstroTurf. So long as you don't touch the grass, you shouldn't get a 1X. And he's gonna call that one right there and cross the line. He's going to hold it. So that's Jeff Giassi. That's the man we talked about that set that banker. Now, just to give you an indication already, Lorne Heinrich probably hasn't been doing as much practice and preparation for this race. Also on a fixed setup, keep in mind, versus these guys. Now, they are a cup car. They are a spec car. There's not a ton you can do, but still a difference to be had. He did a 39.3 as the fastest lap we saw in the All-Star race. That already is a 38.2 from Jeff Giassi.
Well, here's one man who didn't have a satisfactory opening season last year, should I say, in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup. What he did do, however, he won the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Deutschland competition, did Maximilian Benecca. So he had a hard-fought championship all the way through with Diogo Pinto. And it was during the middle of that championship where they actually announced that they were teammates. So they were going at it hammer and tongs. So it shows that even if you're in the same team, in the same outfit, you will still fight each other out there.
Just had a great chance there as we had Matty Sapila on screen, another Finnish driver joining the fold. Finland and sim racing seem to be synonymous. You may have noticed the window banner on his car was white, as well as the wing. There is a difference on the number plate as well, but those are the two identifiers, whereas Johan Arth, he has the black window banner and the black wing. There you go, perfect example. Rookies are white on the wings, and Oscar Bisker. Now, this is an interesting one, just to go back to that, and obviously the returning drivers are the black window banners and wings. Oscar is, I think, 15 years old now. I had the chance to meet him during a virtual Le Mans when I was over with Coanda in Gronau at their new Esports hub. Beautiful facility. They're out of the purple room now. They're racing from this new office space, so to speak, so it kind of separates the living quarters and gives them more of a professional approach in that sense. Second place in the Norwegian Karting Championship. He is the youngest professional license holder, World Cup license holder in iRacing history. as far as I'm aware, when I look through the stats. So very cool to see him jumping up and Coanda taking a chance on such a young driver to take part in this series.
Jordan Caruso from the Logitech GLC Sports outfit, the Australian out there, is on his own in terms of teams. Diogo Pinto, what a time from him, up onto pole position, provisionally ahead of Sebastian Job. Well, Quentin Violate, what a time from him in third place. And some of the times are coming in thick and fast now. So these drivers, they are on the limit. And, well, if you ever want to see the difference of the banners, there you go. The white banner on the top of the windscreen and also the white rear wing with the Tag Heuer logo on. That is a rookie driver. We've got 10 rookies in the championship this season. Everybody else will be running with a black background and white Tag Heuer name across their rear wings and the banner as well. And we'll give you an example of that as well from onboard Dane Warren. So you can see the differences. That's how to identify our rookies out there. And as I say, 10 rookies out there. And what's more, Matt, we've got 12 drivers who competed in the first ever season, but only 10 of those have actually competed in every season of this championship.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah, there was some that had to requalify after getting relegated. Last year, the cutoff point was the 20th position. Everything under that, there was 40 drivers on the grid last year. This year, 35. I think that's a bit better. I think 40 is a lot to manage. And can be rather punishing with dramas, but this is a lap to be on right now. It could be pole position. It's coming across the line. The number 57 is going to be extremely fast. Dane Warren, he's up there already, and he is a man who has been very solid. He's been on top of the sixth in the Porsche Supercup last year, always a contender with VRS, and he's been on multiple of their endurance teams. Driving all the way from Australia. He was in Germany for that virtual Le Mans, and done a lot of travel already this year for Sim, looking super solid. And there's the man I mentioned, 2 of last year's rookies, their sophomore seasons, Collins and then Pinto.
Absolutely, they're up there. He is one man, though, has got plenty of experience. He fought for a championship in 2019 and 2020. Maximilian Benneker, he'll be hoping to get a good lap time in. His car's moving about a lot. He has not got a lap time in here, so this should be his lap time as he comes across the line, as long as he keeps it clean, although that's pushing things to the limit. And he does get a lap time, but it only puts him 29th. Well, it's down to 30th now. Well, let's have a look at our schedule then for the season. Starting off here at Hockenheim and then Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. The third round, you can vote on that right now. Porsche.com/esports. Vote on the track that we are going to be racing at round number 3. Silverstone, the Red Bull Ring, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, Spa, the Nürburgring, Circuit de la Sarthe, and then finally, once again, our traditional finale at Monza. But there's our format for today. And 9-lap sprint race, 18-lap feature race here, Matt. This is going to be fast and frenetic.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. I'm really excited. I think that there's a lot of people that are seeing opportunity in this field this year. New car, a couple of rookies last year that were very impressive and looking to make a name for themselves. Already we're seeing Quentin Vellante from RHG, obviously Roman Grosjean's outfit. He looked good so far in that qualifying, nearly had a lap. I mean, you were commentating on it that could have held water for a while, and then obviously I think there's a lot of people that are seeing this season as, well, hang on, some of the main characters are gone, I can be the next star on the stage. So they're going to be taking a chance for it. I just want to go back as well. Beneke in qualifying have not, now say what you want about last year with controversy, but even in other sim races, he has not been on it in qualifying lately, and we know he's aggressive. We know he can make space for himself. One of the more fun drivers, sometimes a little bit too over the edge in races, but more fun drivers to watch. And I think he himself actually crossed, he was the first over the 10,000 iRating, but he's crossed, I think, even the 11,000, if I'm not mistaken. It's got to be close at this point. But yeah, certainly needs to improve those qualifying performances because he's not going to give himself a chance.
Max Benneker, I can tell you, is 11,018 iRating. So he is Mr. 11K. Doesn't quite have the same ring as Mr. 10K. Jeff Giassi across the line, not able to improve, and he's down in 29th. So there's some big names further down in your field, I can tell you that between first and 33rd on the grid, 0.78 of a second. That shows how close this grid is here. As Sam Kuitert from the Netherlands out there for Urana Esports trying to, well, he won't be able to finish this lap, I don't think. If he does, it'll be very tight.
Just to point out as well, Cooper Webster, the new Red Bull driver, the third in that stable. He sits in 12th place right now, so a good debut from him. Actually ahead of Graham Carroll, the other driver on that team that I mentioned. But Oscar Biscarud, the 15-year-old, 15th place. Perhaps fittingly, the age and the position matches, but that's a good start from him. I know it's not super high up the grid, but this is his first time sort of in a World Cup or World Championship race on iRacing. And experience will be key. He's a karter, so he's used to having lots of action going on around him, but it's a bit of a different game with some of these guys.
Well, they teach them young out there in Scandinavia, they really do, and certainly it's tremendous to see this talent all coming through here. But we're going to be giving you your starting grid in just a moment's time before the opening sprint race, and we'll also give you the Porsche Pole Award. The Tag Heuer Pole Award winner is Dane Warren. It's the first pole of the season here. And, well, don't forget that the winner of the Tag Heuer Pole Award will get themselves a connected watch as well. Tag Heuer connected watch. So definitely something worth winning out there.
Yep, I got to wear the one last year before they handed it over to Josh Rogers at the final show. Beautiful watch. I asked if I could keep it. They didn't let me. Don't know why. I would have thought, come on, guys. I broke my wrist. I need something nice to be on it now. But no, listen, Dane Warren, this is a great start for him. Last season, he had moments, no question. But for him to step up and take pole in the opening race, that's going to be a huge confidence boost for him.
It's his first ever pole position in the series. Alongside him, Charlie Collins with Diogo Pinto and Sebastian Job. Quentin Violette, great qualifying for him. And Ayachan Guvan at the pole season last season, up there on row 3 with Jeremy Butler, Morena Sarica, Jordan Caruso and Gianni Vecchio, with Alessandro Bico and Cooper Webster on row number 6. Row 7 then for Bobby Zelensky, back in the series alongside him, Graham Carroll with Oscar Bixrud and Zach Campbell. Dino Lombardi and Johan Hart round out row number 9. Row 10 for Thomas Tetela with Peter Berryman alongside him. Julian Sonnen and Alejandro Sanchez. He'll be disappointed with Sanchez with that. Josh Thompson, the only independent out there on track with David Williams. Kamil Gurowski and Kevin Ellis Jr. then 13th row of the grid with Salva Tellens and Matti Sipola. The rest of your grid running through. The big name there, row 16, Maximilian Benneker down there. He'll be absolutely furious with himself for not getting further up the grid, but well, time is running out here. Barney the Flagman is ready and waiting. And we're all set for the opening sprint race of the 2022 Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. The engine revs will rise here. Drivers look to the starting gantry. Green flag in the air. Away we go then. And it's a good launch from Dane Warren off the front row of the grid. Charlie Collins slotted in behind him. Down through turn number 1. Then we've got Diogo Pinto, 3rd place ahead of Sebastian Job. Violette, Guvan, Butloop, Sarica and Caruso Webster round out your top 10 in towards turn number 2 then side by side. Sebastian Job not able to get alongside then, slots into the draft. This is going to be crucial down here through the Parabolica. Getting that run, getting that slipstream, and already you can see Diogo Pinto trying to make moves as a head down towards the hairpin for the first time. Warren's going a little bit defensive, middle of the track there, whereas Charlie Collins is out wide. He's going to try and get the run out the corner. It's getting all tight through the hairpin, 3 wide, contact further down, and that is going to be Josh Thompson, the Manxman. Around he goes, but we carry on lap number 1.
Yeah, Thompson, the unfortunate victim of the opening crash again. He's the only one flying as an independent. You mentioned we've also got a solo in terms of not having any teammates in Jordan Caruso, but he's the only independent not signed to a team. Very patient off the start. But what you noticed immediately is as soon as Diego Pinto started to present his nose going into the hairpin against Collins, that opened up a further vacuum, a further pocket for Sebastian Job, and it really shuffles the order. As soon as you get too wide, you're going to be in a position where you've got to fall back into it, and inevitably the order is going to be changed. And you even saw the move from Quintin Valente to try and get up next to Sebastian and take his line away, but they'll settle. This draft will not stop, but they will settle into a rhythm surely and start to figure out, especially with some of the rookies in the field, Quintin being up in 5th place, sort of who fits where in this. And Aichin Guven is going to be so ready for this. He doesn't take any prisoners when he's racing. The fact that he's this far up the grid this year is an excellent start. Lots of curb taken. Vecchio's going to get the run at this point, and that should give him the line into turn 2.
Oh, he was just pulling up alongside Bobby Zelensky. You can see on that timing tower on the left-hand side that they have had a switch of position, but at the front, it's Dane Warren ahead of Charlie Collins with Diogo Pinto, Sebastian Job, Quintin Violate, and then Aichin Guven 6th place ahead of Jeremy Bousselot, Marina Sarika Webster, and then Caruso. Here's a replay of what happened on lap number 1. That's Zach Campbell getting pushed wide. Just the slightest of touches, and Campbell having to go through the gravel trap and able to return to the track safely.
Yeah, very good awareness from those around him to give him the space to rejoin. That could have easily been a problem. Obviously, sliding on the grass, he needs to get back onto the surface. Found the pocket, makes it work. A little bit further back, more action going on as we see once again Zaleski trying to get back amends with Vecchio for that move he made on the previous lap. Graham Carroll just in front of them, just outside of the top 10 as well, as then it's Caruso and Webster. Now I mentioned Webster again. Last year we were touching on the fact that Red Bull only had the 2 drivers. Again, not a team's championship, but it is important for setup and for practice. This year, bringing in the young Australian and Cooper, it's going to give a little bit more for them to work with, a little bit more time to experiment, and certainly support Sebastian Job. But right now, he in 4th place, quite a bit further away from his teammates as this battle continues. Bit of a gap as well to the front, so Vecchio's going to be on the defense here.
To go across the line again, looking on board with our Vodafone on board, then it's Bobby Zelensky, the young American, working his way through turn 1. You see how Gianni Vecchio is just trying to carry that little bit more speed through that first corner. Zelensky is just closing in a little bit, trying to set up the run through this left-hander here at turn number 4 onto the Parabolica. No bonus points for fastest lap, but it's worth pointing out that it was Jeff Giassi who set that fastest lap. So he's down in 21st place right now. So he's setting the early place in the mid-pack, which is rather surprising.
I would have expected it to be not Dane Warren of the front pack, but he actually did set the fastest lap of the front 5 last time around. Typically it's 2nd or 3rd that has that draft, and if they start the lap with a bit of a gap, they tend to get away with it. But Dane Warren doing a phenomenal job at the front. Meanwhile, Vodafone inborn, we go on board with 3rd place man, Diego Pinto. Again, rookie last year, had some memorable moments, good battles, usually in about the back end of the top 10, but this year wants to step further forward than that. And Charlie Collins, what a driver, what a young guy that this guy is going to be forming into, and could be one of the futures for Coanda, because last year was a brilliant rookie and support to Josh Rogers, and this year he is fighting for a championship in his own right. So 2nd place is a good place to be right now in this opening sprint race.
Yeah, Charlie Collins, his best finish in last season was a 2nd place at Monza at the end of the season. So Collins, we know he's got the pace. We know he's got the pace in that car. We're still on board with Pinto because behind Sebastian Job, a little bit of a gap between Pinto and Job, but not the biggest of gaps either. So Job won't be worried too much. He'll be sat in that slipstream right now. But very much the opening round of the championship, it's setting your stall, isn't it? Getting yourself off on a good footing to really set yourself forward for a championship challenge, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to think championship. It's so close the whole way through, and I'll allude to a Formula One moment. Max Verstappen, Silverstone, sure, it's no fault of his own. I don't want to get into the controversy, but in that moment, he's got the pace. He knows that there's a driver that's aggressive on his inside. Maybe he backs out of that, and suddenly the championship's a much easier prospect for him because he's not down 25 potential points or 18 potential points even, right? So you've got to think that early on in the championship fight about how to position yourself to be there at the end. And if you go for moves too early on, if you think just win too early on, and takes a fraction of a millimeter in this race to take damage or to spin off. And look how close the whole field is. You're going to be at the back. It's going to be a wasted day. So patience is virtue. And I mean, I know Josh Rogers on his sim wheel has the words, literally the word patient on tape in the very middle of it to remind him of that. To just think big picture in these situations.
Yeah, it's still, you know, even though it's 10 rounds of a championship, it's still quite a long championship. Get yourself some good points in the early going, and then you can fight your way through towards the end of the season. I do want to point out, because this is something that was announced before the start of the season, the man in 7th place, Jeremy Bouteloup, the Frenchman, he is announced already that at the end of this Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup season, he is going to be retiring from competitive esports and being a full-time esports competitor. So there he is, the 77 driver, and he's saying, you know, he's got other priorities in life after he finishes this season. You know, he wants to prioritize other things. He's still going to carry on sim racing and be involved with the Coanda team. But still, I mean, what a way it would be to finish off your professional career.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I spoke with him a little bit as well during my time in Grow Now with Coanda. And yeah, he's got some other things on the table and other aspirations. And you got to admire that. But a quick driver in his own right. And yeah, good position here right now in 7th place. Very composed. He's back in France for this one, not at the Coanda Esports Hub. As you can tell, his background a little bit different. Got all his shirts and team shirts up above him.
Yeah, so as he runs through into the stadium section, and you know, he was saying, you know, as somebody who's turning 31, makes me feel
so
old. I'm 37. Yeah, thank you for that. But we're looking further down. Here's Max Benneker. Then he is down in 24th, and you know, wow. I mean, you look at this, 24th place. In front of him is Zach Campbell, and in front of him is Kevin Ellis Jr. Now, those two, last season, they were teammates at the Apex Racing team. This season, Zach has headed over to Coanda, so going from teammates to intense rivals out there. VRS, of course, the outfit that he's racing for in this season, part of the Coanda group, but still, those two, they will be really intense as Benneker getting into the back of Campbell.
And Kevin Ellis Jr. is going to be a bit disappointed with this. Let's not forget, he won the first race last year, which was at Interlagos on our schedule. And he had a phenomenal year. I was very impressed with Kevin Ellis Jr. You know, he's typically a troll in Discord and on Twitter. And I always thought, okay, yeah, whatever, you're fast, kid, but not that quick. But last year, he was on it. So for him to be back down in 22nd place as it is right now, not really going to be the happiest of days or starts to the season for him as we look back to the front in this battle. Looking pretty solid and comfortable so far. A little bit more pressure from Diogo Pinto to get on the back of Charlie, but Sebastian Job just staying pretty, I think, comfortable where he is.
Yeah, Benneker's just actually made it past Zach Campbell. So Campbell looks to be struggling a little bit out there because now he has got Sam Keita right behind him. And all over him is the Urano Esports driver. One thing I wanted to point out as well, Kevin Ellis Jr., as well as the other Apex Racing Team drivers, out at their brand new facility as well. They've got a new facility as well. So those drivers all working together out there in Corby.
Yeah, and it makes a difference. I mean, we've seen, you know, esports teams, Counter-Strike, League of Legends, whatever the case, do this for years. It gets everyone on the same schedule, the same practice regime. You're working together with setups. You can lean on each other, and I think we're going to take a look. There he is in the new Apex office. You can see another rig behind him. Coanda was kind of the first to do it famously in sim sports, we'll call it esports sim world. And obviously they've now moved into an even office beside the house, so they've got sort of a divide there between the work and the personal life. We know that Apex has moved in. Great start for them in their sim season beyond just PESC. They've had some other great results as well. And Team Redline, I know I chatted with Atzi Kirchhoff yesterday, and obviously Kevin Siggy is someone that's living and working out of the sim hub that Atzi uses to train Formula 2, Formula 3, and some LMP2 drivers at. They are planning post-pandemic to try and locate them all in an office as well. So it is a super important team structure thing. And I think more and more as budgets increase in sim racing and success is paramount, then you're going to see it quite a bit.
Absolutely. And the seeing the level of competition and preparedness that these drivers have that are involved in these. Well, it used to be the team house at Coanda, but now, of course, they're the whole sim hub that they've got there, and Apex have stepped on that. Logitech Gialta's Esports as well in Australia, they've got a setup as well. That they are getting a team house together, so it's great to see all these teams getting together and building up these facilities for them to go out there and race. Well, we've got 2 more laps to go here in this race. Dane Warren is the leader of this one, ahead of Charlie Collins, with Diogo Pinto in 3rd. Sebastian Job is in 4th, and then that box on the right-hand side of your screen, bottom right, you've got the battle for 5th and 6th place. Quentin Villate and Ayashan Guvan, they are battling it out right now, with Jeremy Butlu, Moreno Sarika, Cooper Webster, and Jordan Caruso rounding out the top 10 here, Matt.
Yeah, and it's been a pretty straightforward race. I expected maybe a few more moves, a few more chances right here into the hairpin, but everyone being pretty patient to start off the season. A little bit of movement from Charlie Collins, maybe an overlap on the exit, not quite. They're all pretty consistent in their drive and power delivery. So again, Sebastian Job just watching this one, seeing if anything's going to happen. Again, think championship, don't need to get too involved too soon. Another name that I wanted to bring up, by the way, that I hadn't, David Williams, requalified again for this season, does his Friday night streams, community, very involved with Dave. Unfortunately, an incident in this one. He's been out, he's 4 laps down, he'll finish 33rd, and Matti Sipilä, who's our rookie from Finland, also with a DNF. So unfortunate for both of those guys to fall out of the order, Paul.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to deal with. But here we go. Here's the battle then. It's Diogo Pinto on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. He's in 3rd place at the moment. In front of him on track, you can see in that top screen. The man he's chasing is Charlie Collins. Bottom left of your screen there, you can see the focus and concentration on both of their faces as we start this final lap here in the opening sprint race of the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. Down towards turn number 2, and Pinto has been looking into the hairpin previously. He's looking to get a good run out of turn 4, which is that one there. Heading through the Parabolica, use the slipstream of the cars in front. I think Charlie Collins just got a little bit better launch, didn't he, Matt?
Yeah, just a slight bit better, especially coming out of the kink and just getting down the straight, gets in the draft a little bit sooner. So don't think Pinto's going to be quite in a position to attack on this, the final lap. And that's the camera angle I wanted to see. Where was Sebastian Job and all that? Because he doesn't quite get up close enough to make a move either. Remember, the top 8 will invert. So therefore, at this point, Moreno Sarika, will be on pole for the feature as it stands. And the only rookie inside that top 8 right now is our 5th place man, Valenta, who's been pretty impressive so far, but very patient as well behind Sebastian Job.
Certainly has, but as we head into the final few corners then through turn number 11, past the Porsche Experience Centre, heading into Sachs Curve for the final time in this sprint race. It's Dane Warren at the front. He's led from the drop of the green flag, and he's just got a few more corners to go through this penultimate corner, and then through Sud Curve. He's going to see Barney the Flagman holding that checkered flag at the final corner. He celebrates because it's the opening win for him in the sprint races. Dane Warren, a huge sigh of release. It's his 2nd sprint race victory after winning at Monza last year. Rest of your drivers coming across the line here. So not a bad way to start the season. He ended off last season with a win. He gets his 2nd ever win here, and it's in the opening race of the championship.
And I take back what I said. I thought that Dane Warren had flown back to Australia already. He is not. He's actually inside that the new Coanda Esports hub, as we just saw briefly on his camera. Bit of a risk to celebrate that one. Comes out, sends it sideways. Imagine spinning it and everyone's that close, getting a little loose. But yeah, good job from him. Charlie Collins, excellent start. Diogo Pinto, that's your podium. Just want to point out Alejandro Sanchez, 16th, another guy I expected a little bit more from.
Well, it's Sebastian Job then, who finishes in 4th place, our 2020 champion. You're seeing some of those big names. Graham Carroll in 11th place. Bobby Zelensky 14th. Pete Berryman returning to the series in 19th place. And then one that we expected to be a championship contender, well, two actually, Kevin Ellis Jr. and Maximilian Benneker. They'll be disappointed to finish 21st, 22nd, and the rest of the field rounding out this 34-car grid. David Williams, Matti Sippola, the two drivers who finished laps down in this race. Matt, I mean, that was a really, really intriguing opening sprint race. It looked like people were maybe a little bit afraid to throw some moves in there, realizing that it's just the first sprint race of the season.
Yeah, and it's interesting to ask them. I still think the draft was a factor more so than it not being. In other words, I think the moves were more people being passive about it, because we saw in the first lap how much Sebastian Job was able to close up as soon as Pinto went to the right of Charlie Collins and that gap opened up. So it certainly was there, but you're right, very patient from everyone throughout, and I'm okay with that. I don't want to see the gloves come off too soon in this championship. I would like to see people like maybe Max Beneke be a little bit closer up for that reason. He certainly can mix with the odor. And we know last year there was a bit of a chip on the shoulder. Now, I've got some heavy breathing in my ear, and that's probably because Dane Warren is panting heavily after that win as he joins us. Dane, you haven't flown back to Australia yet. You're still in Gronau.
I haven't, and I think if things keep going the way they are, I might be staying here for a bit longer, so...
Oh dear, I don't want to get into it. I did my time, but no, I mean, look, not a bad place to be. You've got the setup, you've got the team, you've got the support, you got your first pole position ever in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup, and yeah, fist bumps from the team. There you go, and a victory in the sprint race.
Yeah, well, I honestly can't say thanks enough to the team, obviously, for having me here. Honestly, the upgrade to the equipment is probably half the reason I'm doing as well as I am. The VRS pedals and the VRS wheelbase, so. Yeah, I guess going into the feature now, we just hope to pick up another win or do as well as we can. So,
what's the attitude like been in the office? I know you weren't part of the home, but now you guys are refocused, and like you say, you get to benefit from being there. What's sort of the support system and preparation for this race been like?
Well, it's just constant work, and that might sound like a bit of a sort of a slavery thing, but everyone is focused towards one goal, and that's sort of winning or being the best team there is. So, everyone put in heaps of hours this week to make sure we were up the front, and it's paying off so far.
All right. Well, congratulations on the sprint win. We'll let you go. Get ready for the feature starting 8th on the reverse grid.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Paul, that is, I mean, it is a factor, certainly. It's interesting to say as well, they're all in the same team, but I know Coanda and VRS having that partnership, they've been doing so much to try and get everyone the equipment, and they can't even get it produced fast enough in the shortages we're having thanks to COVID. So says the equipment's a factor, I think, being around teammates as well. These are the highlights though, Paul, and it started pretty early on this one.
It certainly did. It was a tremendous launch off the front row of the grid from Dane Warren. Then, as we see, that grid just swarmed down through turn number 1. Into turn 2, Sebastian Job was looking to make some moves, not quite able to do it. There we saw one of our cars, the 78, around. And more, yeah, well, no, that was later on, actually, was Josh Thompson. As they carried on through turn number 1, we saw tremendous battling as well. Max Benneker getting stuck behind Zach Campbell. Did eventually make the move here, though, down into the hairpin. And certainly made it count. Campbell just seemed to be a little bit off the pace here today, but the front 3, they were absolutely imperious.
Yeah, sorry, 78, Alessandro Bicco. So Williams Esports rookie in the field again. Watch for those white window banners and the wings as well. But yeah, look, I think this is a pretty calculated and straightforward race. Dane Warren gets to breathe easy where there wasn't too much attacking behind him. But this sets us up well on the reverse grid. And I think in the future we'll see a bit more. Don't forget, Paul, we can vote on the circuit for race number 3.
Yeah, look at your choices there. You've got Watkins Glen, Long Beach, which of course we raced at in our Porsche Contender Series, Hungaroring, and Interlagos, which we raced at last season as the opening round of the championship. You can go and vote. The Porsche website for that vote. So that's at porsche.com/esports. Make sure you check that out and get your vote in for the track that we're going to be racing at on March the 5th. Have you voted yet, Matt?
I have not, but apparently you've told me that Long Beach was currently in the lead, and that's because people like to watch the world burn, I think, because that will be chaotic in this series, no question about it. Don't forget, apart from voting, you can also log on, maybe go drive those tracks and make your own an educated decision. It's 40% off new memberships right now at iRacing. So head over there and do that, and then vote Interlagos, because I told you to, because please, that's what I want you to do. Thank you.
I'll be honest, I voted for Hungaroring, so
I could settle with that.
I like the circuit, but it certainly is a challenge in these cars. But yeah, do head on over to iRacing.com, sign up for a new membership, 40% off of all new memberships right now. But we're getting ready for the second race of this season, and it is Moreno Sarica then. The inverted grid puts him on pole position. Alongside him, Jeremy Bouteloup with Ayachan Gouvan and Quentin Vialate. What a drive for the rookie. Sebastian Job, Diogo Pinto, row number 3. Row 4, Charlie Collins, and our race 1 winner, Dane Warren. Cooper Webster, Charlton Caruso, Graham Carroll, and Gianni Vecchio. Next row of the grid in 7th row, it is Dino Lombardi, and one of your rookies with Bobby Zelensky, Oscar Bixrud, and Alejandro Sanchez for SDK Gaming. Johan Harth and Julian Sonnen. And Pete Berryman on row number 10 with Thomas Tetzeler. Kevin Ellis Jr. and Maximilian Benneker, they've got a bit more time in this race to try and move forward, and Zach Campbell will be looking forward as well with Sam Keiter. Brian Lockwood and Jamie Fluke with Salva Talons. Another one who's on his own in a team in MSI Esports with Alessandro Beaker alongside him. Jack Sedgwick and Josh Thompson. He'll be hoping for a better opening lap. With Kamil Grabowski, Jeff Giassi, David Williams, and Matti Sipler with all the work to do from the back of the grid.
Yeah,
very briefly then, Matt, what are your thoughts going into this first feature race?
Well, just to point out, the top 8, the inverse, that is literally the inverse of qualifying. There was no overtaking in that top 8 position, so I expect that to change. A few more laps, like you say, Benneker's a little bit further forward. Maybe a bit more desperation from those outside the top 10 to move up, so I would expect a bit more aggression this race.
Well, the drivers are getting themselves all set and prepared for this, the opening feature race in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup, the 2022 season. It's the 4th year of this championship, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you all along here. Drivers will be looking to that starting gantry. The revs rise. We're all set for 18 laps of the Hockenheim ring. Green flag, away we go. It's a good start from your front row of Sarica. Jeremy Bouteloup's trying to make a challenge for that first place. Sarica's run wide. Bouteloup's through. Ayachan Gouvan follows him through, and Quentin Vialate's there. Sebastian Job as well. One little mistake, and Moreno Sarica is almost in the threat of being freight trained here.
Good read from Gouvan not to take too much on the inside. It was a bit of a late move, but the nose was in, as it is Violetta, the rookie, that just barely got snuck in, but good hold from Gouvan. That was a tough one off the start. Obviously, the thought was from Sarica, I've got this line, and at the last second, he saw the man on the inside, had to back out of it, and Bouteloup gets away with it, but it costs him dearly. Look how far down the order he is already, past the top 8 position. He's in 10th. Graham Carroll, Cooper Webster, 8th and 9th. They've moved up, and we're almost 4 wide coming out of the hairpin.
This is tremendous stuff on this opening lap. There was an instant in the background of the shot through the parabolic at Salva Talons, and I think David Williams, because Williams is back in the pits already. He's taken a tour here on this opening lap, so it's an absolute nightmare of a start for David Williams.
Oh, no.
More spinners. That's Vecchio, and there's been a concertina effect there as well. Further contact with one of the Apex Racing Team cars as they go through turn number 8 on lap number 1. Cold tyres, cold brakes, don't forget. 2 wide, 2 by 2 by 2 further down in your field. But right now, Jeremy Bouteloup, he's looking for a great start to his season.
Yeah, Vecchio spun. I didn't see who that was behind him at that point. I thought it might have been Kevin Ellis Jr. that got into the back of him as a result, but have to see the replay on that one. Bit more drama already. It starts in corner 1 off the getaway, and we've had a change at the lead. Bouteloup, you said it could be his last, well, it's going to be his last year, according to him, at a full-time professional esports capacity, so I'm sure he would love to have a send-off with more than a win even here. A great championship run, but Ayachan Gouvan in second place. If he smells a victory, he is going to go. That man, loves to be aggressive. Now, was that a tap? I didn't see contact there, but a bit of a loose moment. That's going to be a change in the order as 47 drops back just one position. And immediately that's going to be, I have to see it if that was netcode or not, but I think you're right. I think that was just him losing it under braking on the way in. Trail braking to the apex and lost it.
Yeah, that was Oscar Bixrud then moving up a position up into 14th. Sebastian Job, our 2020 champion, comes head on to Moreno Sarika, and they're all going off. Jordan Caruso has spun in sympathy as well. Sarika's got significant damage to the front of his car. And Sebastian Job drops all the way down to 32nd in that one incident. Was there contact there either?
That's a nightmare. We only caught the tail end of it.
Yeah.
Potentially, Sariko's the one involved with the damage on the front. Smart by Sebastian. You saw him drive forward to get out of the way. He did get hit in the Constantina effect, but wanted to get off the line, make sure he didn't take any more damage, keep everyone going, because it could have been a lot worse down the order as everyone arrived on the scene of the accident. But yeah, Sebastian Job, we know he was frustrated last year with how things went in the season. We know he wanted to avoid all of that drama and put in a clean run throughout the course of the championship. That is... he needs to be psychologically prepared for this season, because this could mess with him for the rest of the championship if he's not smart about it.
Well, your top three then, they have moved forward in all of this, and they have got a nice breakaway going on right here. Aichan Guvan, fastest lap of the race behind one of his compatriots. So it's Jeremy Bootloop who leads this one. Here's the replay then, Matt, in the bottom right, looking at Sebastian Job into the hairpin, and it's a tap.
That's contact.
So that was Pinto getting contact from behind from Charlie Collins that pushed him into Job.
Yeah, that's so marginal, unfortunately. It's just enough to be leaned on at that point. Different angle in the approach as well. You can see Diego coming in tighter. Sebastian's looking for the late line to try and get off the corner. There is a different approach to slow quarters in that regard, and it's just enough to lean on him as he's getting on the power, as those rear tires are already being loaded up, and it just puts them past the point of adhesion, and around he goes. So unfortunate. Sarika was the one that then actually clobbered him as he was stationary, so that's where the massive damage on the front of him came. And that all, from Sarika's point of view, it just goes to show how when you have a bad race, it all goes wrong, because he starts on pole position, goes wide, ends up down the order, and then he's caught in an accident that wasn't his own doing. So a bit unfortunate for him.
Yeah, it's with a championship where the drivers are so closely matched, you're just facing just a chain of cars. It's almost like going backwards through a Porsche showroom is just how many Porsches that you're seeing flying towards you, and it's a case of, well, where do I go?
Yeah, it's a tough one. That's a tough one to weigh out for sure. And it goes to show as well, like you say, you can be fast over one lap, you could put in a brilliant pass here and there, but one small mistake just puts you in a bad position, and you've really got to be smart in a race to avoid those incidents and avoid that drama. Back at the front, the other two Red Bull cars running line astern, moving up the order slightly, unfortunately due to Sebastian Job falling so far down it, but it's 7th and 8th for Webster and Carroll at this point in time.
Yeah, Quentin Violate is that top rookie then. We've seen it in the past how rookies can come in and really get a good charge from the opening of the season. And Quentin Violate for that R8G Esports outfit doing a superb job. Here's another one, a rookie as well. Cooper Webster, currently 7th for the Red Bull Esports outfit. And he's in front of his very experienced teammate Graham Carroll as well. Carroll, he knows not to fight. He is a very, very canny driver, and he knows, right, Cooper's got the pace here. He's keeping with those cars in front. No point in me trying to hurry past him.
Yeah, not at all. Graham will fight when he needs to. Graham can. We've seen it before. He can be super aggressive, but not in this case. Doesn't need to in this case. And Sarika behind them has a bit of damage that will affect him in the straight line a little bit in these cars. Certainly, they're still downforce, more so in fact in the 992 than the 991. You can see those hood scoops and the vents, the body work. They've also got sort of that fin below the wing. You've got like that whale tail that adds a bit. So there's more aero involved in these cars than the previous versions of the Porsche Cups, so it'll have an effect. So that means they've got some breathing room. Graham doesn't need to be too aggressive with his teammate because he himself is not under threat, so they can work this strategically.
Well, looking at the threat up front, though, Jeremy Bootloop is feeling the pressure from Ayachan Guvan then. First and second place. The cars are painted pretty the same. However, you've got Bootloop for the VRS team versus... he's in the Coanda team. And Ayachan Guvan actually is in the Coanda team as well. They're both teammates then. On the entry, they have got a little bit different loaders on the side of the car there,
and that's throwing you off. It's the VRS on the side of Bootloop. It's the Coanda on the side of Guvan. Guvan's not going to be too aggressive. Even the relationship between them, then there's a look at them. Bootloop at home. Ayachan Guvan is directly beside Dane Warren, by the way. The two rigs that they're using are directly beside one another inside that Coanda Esports hub. He's not... You can see him kind of show the nose there, and then Bootloop get a little defensive. He's not going to force the issue, but he's going to leave himself. It's only lap 5 of 18. He's going to leave himself in a position. And I think if they can get enough of a gap, if they can keep this 2 to 3 car length gap away from Violetta, I think he'll have a little sniff of it toward the end.
I've just double-checked my team, my entry list, and yes, it is both Coanda drivers. So the teammates in this, as you've kept on saying, no team's championship. However, it will help having a... Yeah, it will help you have a rear gunner there to a degree, although Ayachan, he's looking forward. He wants to get a debut win in this championship. Jeremy Bootloop, well, he has had one sprint race victory back in 2020 for Jeremy Bootloop, so he wants to get a win there. Now, look at this battle further back for 12th place. Bobby Zelensky, Thomas Tetela, Sam Kaiser, and Max Benneker, who's slowly trying to work his way through the field here, is Max up 7 places from where he started.
Yeah, he is. He's having an excellent race this time through. We saw this last year from him. I think it was Barcelona where he had a very poor qualifying as well, and then just continually made up ground.
Oh! I'm sorry, I just saw
movement behind. I thought you were going to get into it as well, but just to finish that point, it's qualifying is Benneker's problem. He needs to fix it.
I can tell you, look at the timing tower at the top of your order as well. Guvan and Bootloop, they've swapped positions, and Violatte's there, and those two fighting have brought Pinto, Collins, Warren, Webster, and Carroll all into this battle. Tremendous stuff. Too wide into the stadium section between teammates. Violatte's around. He's in the gravel. Oh, he's
hit by
facing
Collins.
the wrong way.
Collins got into the back of him. That's so unfortunate for the rookie. That is so unfortunate. That is such a tough position. I didn't think the VRS drivers would force it that early, or excuse me, the Coanda drivers, as we've clarified, would force it that early without the gap. I thought they'd be patient, but Guvan had a chance, put them in an awkward position going into the very old, narrow stadium section, and it just the funnel effect, and Collins carried so much speed. I think you'll see on the replay, he quite clearly lifted the back end of poor old Valletta's car, and around he went. That is, welcome to racing in Pesk, unfortunately, for the rookie, but he was looking sharp and nearly had a chance to slip down the inside of Bootloop there, who maybe gets away with it as a result. Now, you're going to have 5 out of the top 6 be VRS/Coanda cars, and Graham Carroll's gotten by Webster and all of that kerfuffle. He will be aggressive with this. Here's the replay.
So this is how it all started. Violatte got a very aggressive into the hairpin, going to the back of Jeremy Bootloop. Then Ayachan Guvan's going, I'm not having any of that. I'm having to run out of there, as we see 2 wide action on our live pictures as well. Guvan then goes to the inside of his teammate. Violatte saying, right, well, I want a piece of this. I'll go alongside. I want second place in all of this. They stayed 2 wide, and it's through the stadium here then. Into the stadium, should I say. Turn number 11, and look, wait for it. Violatte's out.
Oh, no, I take it back. It was just a hip check from Bootloop. From the onboard we had, it looked like Zach carried a lot of speed in the draft and just opened up the brakes and carried it around. But no, that was Bootloop that shuffled him off. So fair enough. And it also started all from him making a dive. So Guvan didn't have a choice on that. He had to go because the momentum in front of him was lost. So, man, that's just tough. That is tough racing. And Bootloop, I mean, that's the nature of a narrow spot like that, trying to go too wide.
Ayhan Guvan has only ever had one top 10 finish. He's never had a podium here in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. He is in first place right now, and he's got a half a second lead over Jeremy Bootsloop, because Bootsloop now is more concerned about the aggressive Diogo Pinto from Team Redline behind him. Charlie Collins, Dane Warren, Graham Carroll, Cooper Webster, they're all getting involved in this one as well. Guvan, if he's smart about this, can make a run for it.
Can indeed.
Well, Bootsloop having to go defensive here, isn't he? Pinto switch sides into the hairpin. We're only on lap 8 of the race here, Matt. This is tremendous stuff, and it's very aggressive. Pinto's forced, Bootsloop wide, and it's 3 wide on the exit now. Collins and Warren go through.
And I called it was 5 of the Coanda VRS drivers up front because I saw the purple, but it happens to be the purple Redline car. So yeah, Pinto making moves against all enemies at this point, and now we're going to see it. Graham Carroll trying to get in. We knew he would. We knew that if they held each other up, he'd try, but he gets shuffled off. And as a result of that, Cooper Webster's going to sneak back up the inside. Sarika, the man who started on pole and has damage, is holding on to all of this. And look at Alejandro Sanchez, 16th in the first race. He's up to 9th now. And if this keeps going the way it is, he's going to get more positions.
The gloves are off in all of this, that's for sure. This is tremendous action here in the second race. We thought they were going to go maybe a little bit quiet, didn't we, and get a good few points, a solid start to the season. That is not the case here today. This is tremendous stuff. There's Alejandro Sanchez then for SDK Gaming. Recently joined the Apex Racing team, and he is working his way through. There's his onboard, the Vodafone onboard through turn 1. Doesn't take the inside curb, and it just costs him that 10th of a second there.
I think he actually understood a bit there. I think just with the draft and the braking, he was aiming for it and got a little bit wider than he wanted to. But you're right, kept him off the throttle a little bit more because he didn't want to run wide on the exit. Now he'll get in the draft. We'll see if it works. Just a note of the 30 cars still running. They are separated by 26 seconds. Sebastian Job back in 27th at this point in time is doing everything he can to try and get a few points on the boards. But it's Oscar Biscarud as well, the 15-year-old, 10th place, following Alejandro Sanchez through all of this. He's just behind in this battle as we're still riding on the Vodafone onboard with Alejandro Sanchez. And so far, it looks like at least things have stayed somewhat calm this lap in front of him.
I can tell you, the top 16 are covered by 7 seconds. This is absolutely incredible. It's just a queue of cars out there, and they're all playing this high-speed chess with each other. There's 2 wide action further back as well. I think that was Tetela and Bobby Zelensky we saw when we were going through the back of shot there. So there's battles all the way through this field. This is what we get every season in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. It's intense, high-speed action, and it's certainly no quarter given and none taken. That is for sure. As they go through the final couple of corners to end another lap. And well, why don't we give you a little bit of the sights and sounds of the action with the full throttle by Buzz. There we go, that was full throttle powered by Buzz then, and you saw how close Diogo Pinto was getting at the front of the field. Meanwhile, Dane Warren is putting the pressure here on Jeremy Boutler, the man who had led the early stages of this race. Forced down the field, then down to 5th place for Jeremy. Meanwhile, up ahead, Diogo Pinto, he's making moves forward. There's 8 laps to go in this 18-lap race here. So tyres, the tyre wear, start to become a factor because the track temperature, 32 degrees Celsius. That's not cold, but it's not too hot either.
Yeah, our average pace is about a second off of the opening race. We were doing 37.9s at fast end of the last race, but low 38s. We're at 39.5 right now. On the last lap by 39.4, in fact, for Diogo Pinto in 2nd place. And you can already see the aggression he's putting on this. Charlie Collins wants to be there to capitalize as well and hold through it. Positions gained, most positions gained in the field last time at DNF. Matty Sipola, our rookie, going from the back of the grid. He's up 17 places to be in 17th place. 11 positions gained for Jeff Gyasi. He's inherited a lot from the dramas, but also worth noticing that Jamie Fluke's gone up 11 and is now sitting in 16th. So a number of places gained. Among the front, though, Alejandro Sanchez up 8 and Thomas Tetela up 9. There's a lot of movers down deep in the field that are starting to get up into good point-scoring positions.
This has certainly been an intriguing and exciting opening round of the championship. The front 4 with a breakaway then. Gouvan, Pinto, Collins, Warren, and a little bit of a gap back to Jeremy Boutler, Cooper Webster, Graham Carroll, Alejandro Sanchez, Moreno Sarica. So those 5 battling it out. Oh, it's Pinto getting close. The young man from Portugal, recently added to this Team Redline outfit. And he's shown some really, really good pace in the early goings of this season. He looks like he means business this year.
Yeah, and I said it. A lot of the drivers last year saying he was very aggressive as a rookie and that he definitely had pace, but it seems now he's got a little bit more to that package. Great start to the year. Now, the problem is big defensive early from Gouvan. Puts him so far on the outside. Collins nearly got the overlap on the exit, but smooth driving, slow corner, throttle delivery, pretty straightforward for them now as they head into the arena, but it's a little bit further back. We've got battles going on. Yes, we already said how close these gaps are, Paul. It's impossible to cover everything, but yeah, Zielinski's involved in this one with Benica trying to make his way through.
Yeah, Benica trying to make the most of this. This is tremendous, though. There is battles literally all the way through the field here. I mean, my timing screen, it gives me little battle boxes on my end, and, well, it's just red boxes everywhere all the way through my timing screen. So it's tremendous what we get to see here in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup. Max Benica moves ahead of Bobby Zielinski into 12th place then. So Zielinski down a position, returning to the championship this season is Bobby, and finds himself down to 13th place. Of course, that did used to race in this championship.
That's a loss.
Yeah,
a bit too much curb. We talked about it. If you hit it at the wrong angle, it'll spit you wide, whereas we saw it in the All-Star race, it'll actually rotate you if you get it right. And Gouvan that time, a little bit tired on the tires, perhaps, gets a little bit too much exit. Just to note, and not to cut you off on your point, Gouvan has gone from a Porsche junior in the last year to a full-fledged factory driver this year. Yet to announce what his full plans will be. Yeah, congratulations to him on that, because now he is a full-fledged pro driver, but he may not be in the clear on this race, as once again there's an overlap. I think this is going to continue for a while. Pinto a little bit slower to get on the power this time. The overlap lasts longer, not quite. Tucking back in, Collins will resume 3rd place.
And that is the big danger. When you make that move to the outside, you're inviting other people to look to the inside. And Collins, he's now looking to the inside of turn number 8. And Dane Warren is getting involved in all of this as well. Your sprint race winner from today, he wants to get a double win here. And he can smell it in the air here into turn 11 and through past the Porsche Experience Centre once again. And you look in that bottom corner, you've got that battle for 5th place going on as well. So tremendous stuff at the front of your field. And right now, Charlie Collins, he's got to look forward, but he's also got to look back, because even though they operate out the same outfit, Warren and Collins in this race, they're all enemies. They're all the target here.
Yeah, and Warren looking to capitalize. The first place, the victory in the sprint race, now in 4th this time around. Gouven was 6th in the sprint race and is now looking to try and win on this one. But just to note as well, you mentioned that battle for 5th place. Look who's joined in on that. Alejandro Sanchez is right there. What a charge he is on. And I did say it was a bit of an underperformance from him, bit underwhelming to start off the season. He is a driver I could see being a protagonist in this championship throughout the season. He'd had some bad luck last year. He was taken out a number of times, not his fault, but here we go again. Same move. Let's not overhype this. This is starting to be formation into the hairpin.
Oh, I tell you what, though, Gouven, he defends early. He says if you're going to try and make the move, you've got to go the long way. Again, blocks his route off the corner exit. This is such good driving, such good defensive driving from Ayeshan Gouven. You would expect that of a Porsche driver. And he certainly really got to grips with this season's car and seems to be really enjoying himself out there on track. Pinto keeping the pressure on. If he gets a second, that'll be really good for him. Don't forget, if you win the race here in the feature race, you do actually get double the amount of points for the win compared to the win in the sprint race. Gouven runs wide through Sachs curve, but fortunately for him, it's cambered in his favour, so he can get the power down. You've got the battle for the lead then in the main box. Bottom left, battle for 5th place, and then the battle for 10th in the bottom right. There's action everywhere out here on track, and this is just in the top 10 here, Matt.
Yeah, it's 6 cars battling for 10th right now. We'll get back to that in a second. It's corner 1 right there and 2 that are going to matter for Gouven. Again, a lot of inside curb in the rear steps that time. He has to hold it. Tires will be hot into 2, and he needs these 2 corners to work right, not just to defend here, but to make sure he has enough gap on Pinto. This is the closest they've been through the kinks, so this draft will be all important. Biscarud, meanwhile, Oscar was in 10th. Just 2 laps ago. He has lost out to Tetela and Benica and has fallen down to 12th. So that battle heating up further down. Pinto inside already.
Well, he's got the outside into the hairpin. No, Gouven. Each lap he seems to get more of a nose, and crucially, he's got a nose there. That's a squeeze and a half there from Gouven. And I think Pinto just had to get off the throttle, just bleed off the throttle just slightly to stop himself turning Gouven across his nose.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't mind that. There wasn't enough of an overlap that he was really forcing him off the track. He was wide on the curb. I would battle that too. That's racing. And look, Pinto wasn't going to have the run down toward the first arena section. Now they'll turn right into the old arena, go right past the Porsche Experience Center. And again, it's not, as you say, the camber in here. Pending some massive mistake. There is you can see Gouven, he's trying to hold the car open a little bit more there. It's not, this part of the track is not as crucial for Ayeshan Gouven. It's going to be turn 1 and turn 2, where if he makes a mistake, that's where Pinto needs to force the issue, needs to force him to lose momentum so that he can make the convincing move. 4 laps to go. We are 12 laps done, which means we're coming up on where we were in the sprint race, and that means the tires are getting older. We've got a black flag, presumably for Xing out of this, for Charlie Collins in 3rd place.
Oh, that means drive-through. He's throwing the move to the inside. He knows that he's got a drive-through penalty, and he's just trying to throw a bit of a curveball in here. He is trying to upset Pinto to allow Ayeshan Gouven to pull away here.
Yeah, he's absolutely playing the team game at this point. He's not in this fight anymore. He's got to go to the pits, and he just tries to do everything he can to disrupt Pinto. He does it successfully. It's not a huge amount yet, but it needs to be Warren that capitalizes this as well. It was incident limit for Charlie Collins, and that is such a disaster because another one that could be a protagonist and potentially a champion this season. He's going to drop way down the order as a result of it, and he's still doing everything he can to hold Pinto out of position to try and get Dane Warren back up and onto the podium.
I mean, if you've ever seen a team game being played, then this is being done to absolute perfection here. Trying to give his teammate Dane Warren a bit of a slipstream. In fact, no, they're not teammates. Pinto's off. He's got a bit of a hip check from Warren there. Warren's up into 3rd place. Pinto down to 7th and maybe 6th here because Alejandro Sanchez and Cooper Webster are battling themselves here as well. This is high drama here. There's Charlie Collins. He's going to go serve his drive-through penalty. I can't actually remember the last time we had a drive-through penalty for a driver in this series, but this is high drama, and he knows that is a huge error in terms of his championship.
Yeah, incredible. Oh no, Dane Warren's just got another one as well. He just got an incident limit. It's the off tracks that are catching them out. Turn 1, the exit. The final turn heading onto the straightaway as well. It's very, very marginal when you touch the dirt, but Dane Warren, winner in the sprint race, now sits in second, pending all of that drama, but he is getting a drive-through penalty. And is that incident based on the 4X at the arena that we just saw? And that might be karma for playing the team game, putting Pinto in an awkward position. Look who's involved in all of this. Graham Carroll is up to 4th position. Bootaloo in front of him. Gouvin should be gone. 2 laps to go, but the podium is wide open, and Pinto's not out of it yet either.
This is absolutely tremendous. Graham Carroll, a little bit of a weave there. He's saying to Pinto, don't even think about it. I'm looking forward, and I think you should do as well, because this is absolutely tremendous. We've also got Sam Keiter as well, hitting the incident limit as well. They're on the limit here in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup, and it shows the finite margins that these drivers are having to drive to.
You said it. We haven't seen an incident limit in forever in this series. The 992, it's a more controllable car, but everyone, to extract that much out of it, is that close to the limit, and just those little contacts under braking, they add up quickly. This is how close the championship's going to be. And a track like Hockenheim, yeah, there he goes. Dane Warren has to jump out of second place. Would have been leading the championship at the end of this race, having won the sprint. Gouvin now with a gap, but Graham Carroll on the podium. Jeremy Bootaloo is sitting in second. Yeah, it's a not a lot of elevation here, but it's the runoffs, and they're all just taking so many liberties and following so closely. It's easy to just get caught out, not be as accurate seeing exactly where you are.
Well, it is the final lap of the race. Graham Carroll, look at him, the focus. He wants that slipstream from Jeremy Bootaloo. Now, these two have battled over the years throughout various different championships. Look at him, he's geeing himself up. He knows he's got an opportunity of a second place as Graham. He's got to be careful from behind as well. Bootaloo goes defensive very early into the hairpin. Pinto's trying to follow him. Oh, a little bit of a mistake from Bootaloo. That's allowing Carroll to stay alongside him here in all of this action. And well, through the right-hander into the left at turn number 8. That's going to be Carroll's line here. You can hang it out around the outside here. We've got Matti Sipola has now got a black flag on the final lap of the race, so that'll be a time penalty applied. But this is tremendous. Pinto's trying to get involved in all of this right now. Too wide through turn 11. Carroll's got the inside for Sachs curve, and that's going to be crucial. Bootaloo could be freight trained here if he's not careful, but Carroll getting to second place. Bootaloo slops into third, but look forward, because Ayachan Gouvin, a man who has never had a podium in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup, is coming across a race winner here in the feature race. Absolutely tremendous drive from him. Carroll in second with Jeremy Bootaloo in third place. And there we go. That is it. Wow. We had somebody onto pit road as well. And the 78 has got a black flag as well. That is Bika, Alessandra Bika.
Yes,
black flag
rookie
on the last lap.
And I have to feel, just to go to Sipola really quickly, I feel for him up 17 positions. DNF in the first race was having a tremendous charge through the field. But that was an incredible finish. Graham Carroll, you could see it. He was big, deep breath heading down toward the hairpin. He knew he had to make the move, and Pinto was just waiting for the chance. I thought when Bootaloo got a little bit of wheel spin coming out and they were heading into the hard right-hander with the runoff, that Graham Carroll would get the overlap, but Bootaloo did everything he could. But today has to be about Ayachan Gouvin. This guy, Porsche full-fledged factory driver this year, has been in PESC for a while now, switched over a few seasons ago from Redline to Coanda, and gets his first feature win. And I genuinely think, with the time he's been putting in, this could be something we're seeing more frequently from him this season.
Well, let's head on into the Bose post-race show to try and pick apart what happened there. I think the highlights are going to last as long as that race did, because that was absolutely tremendous stuff. Here is your unofficial race results. It is Ayachan Gouvin first ever podium, and he gets it with a win here for the Turkish driver. Superb stuff for him. Graham Carroll, brilliant drive from him, up 9 places to finish second place, with Jeremy Bootsloop started on the front row of the grid on 3rd place. Diogo Pinto, Cooper Webster, Alejandro Sanchez, Moreno Sarica, Thomas Tatala, all were together out there on track. Then Oscar Brixrud in 9th, and Max Benneker finishing in 10th place. Jamie Fluke and Johan Harth, the Apex Racing teammates, they are 11th and 12th ahead of Jeff Giassi. Charlie Collins, he'll be disappointed with that. He's the first of the drivers who had a drive-through penalty in that. Julian Sonnen, Dane Warren, another one of those drive-through penalties for him in 16th ahead of Zach Campbell. Kevin Ellis Jr. and Pete Berryman, two other Apex Racing teammates, alongside each other, with Brian Lockwood in 20th place. Josh Thompson, a good solid sort of recovery drive after the sprint race to finish in 21st ahead of your 2020 champion. I think we forgot about what happened there at the start of the race. Sebastian Job down in 22nd. Jordan Caruso was involved in that one as well. Salva Talons, Kamil Grabowski, Sam Keiter then with a additional time penalty after the end of the race. Bobby Zelensky, Alessandra Bico, Matti Sipola, Quentin Violate. What happened to him into the arena? That was just heartbreaking. Gianni Vecchio, Dina Lombardi, Jack Sedgwick, and David Williams all did not finish this race.
Yeah,
Matt, take it away with our race winner.
So much to talk about. I mean, not a number of those names, but Aitken Gouvet, there he is. You and I were already over there together once before. Good start in the Esports Hub for you, the Coanda Esports Hub. You get your first win in PESC.
Yeah, crazy, to be honest. I win many races in real life in Supercup, but also first virtual one. Oof, crazy, to be honest. I'm still super excited and happy. Yeah, I'm not the fastest of the grid, but with the reverse grid, I play smart. I was in the group, and then I need to defend hard, and then we get the win.
Yeah, well, defending the whole time against Pinto, how much pressure was that? Because obviously your teammate then is behind, and there's a bunch of overlap situations.
To be honest, we practiced a lot in the race situation, so I know how to defend and everything. But also, I know it's going to be risky for my teammates in the pack. So I always, to be honest, I think more for them compared to myself. I want to be sure they are safe. But at the end, I know I can defend in this corner, and I just need to clean in the other corners. So I try my best. Unfortunately, my teammates get too many incident points, so they lose some points. But speed was there as a team. We will again really strong this year, and I'm sure in the next races they will. Win more.
How many incident points did you have?
Let me check. I think 11.
Okay, so up there. That's fine. 11's okay. Well, just quickly, you've said to me when we were over there chatting that you might go back to Turkey a little bit this winter. You need some time off as well to prepare for the real season. You can obviously still race sim from there, but now that you've won in the Esports Hub, you gonna change your mind? You gonna stick around and grow now?
Yeah, to be honest, I want to stay here as long as possible. But in one point, my real season starts, so I have many clashes. So I'm more or less doing few races. So this is one of it, and I'm super happy that I win it. But I always try to help my teammates in the testing and everything. Maybe I miss some races, but I will always practice.
All right. Well, congratulations on a pretty epic win. That was great to watch.
Thank you, guys. See you.
Absolutely. And then, of course, what was epic to watch was the battle to the end, arguably the racing moment of the entire day. And this guy, Graham Carroll, Graham, all season last year, you said it was your goal to be on the podium just to talk to me. And you've done it in the first race this time.
I've worked hard over the off-season, mate, just to get this interview with you, buddy. So it's, static. It was just a race, just madness. And you really had to just be patient. And it really worked out in the end for me. So it's really chuffed for it.
I was going to ask about the patience, because obviously when the battle with Pinto happens in front, you actually looked like you were making a move for fourth and got boxed out, pushed off. You now go behind Cooper Webster, new teammate. I want to ask about how much he's done to help you guys prepare. But patience was kind of the key, wasn't it? Because it kind of unfolded for you at the end.
Yeah, no, well, I went into the Mercedes arena, a Coanda car on the left, a Coanda car in front of him, and a Coanda car in front. So I was boxed in. As soon as I turned in, I just got sent to the moon kind of thing, and maybe a bit of netcode. Not going to say it's anyone's fault, but after that just kind of sort of put me on the back foot behind Cooper again, that I managed to get by. And then, I got him again at the hairpin, got onto sort of Jeremy, a few others. I think they were over the incident limit, so they boxed, and I just sort of had to be patient to that last lap, and Jeremy just stopped the car in the apex of the hairpin, and I just sort of thought right round the outside, and we got the run and side by side for there on. And when it was P2, I was fighting for an interview with you, Sado. I was never giving up, right? So
I love
mega.
Yeah, I'm super stoked for you. You have brought in a third driver this year. You brought in Cooper Webster. I know last year you guys talking to you and Sebastian practice and kind of relying on just the two of you was a bit difficult. How much has he brought to the team so far already?
It's mega, right? It's great to have someone on the same pace as me and Seb, so we can do race runs together and just to study each other's driving, just to gain that last little bit over a lap. Like, I think we maybe lacked a little bit in the qualifying. We won't go into too much detail why, but once the lights go out green, I think the three of us today, Seb, myself, and Cooper, were as quick as most, to be honest. So
yeah,
we'll get to work on that quali.
Yeah, well, we'll get some Tarkov in soon to celebrate. That was good.
Legend, man, legend.
Well, congrats. Great start to the season. And the man that went wheel to wheel with Graham, Jeremy Bootsaloo, joining us now as well. That was a pretty nerve-wracking race the whole way through. Jeremy, you got the lead off the start. Marino, you got the inside on him. Great launch off the line. And then from there, it was kind of just a battle of waiting it out and seeing what was going to happen in front of you. And it kind of all unfolded. And then the last lap battle, which was epic. Great racing room between the two of you. Talk us through your whole race, because that was pretty strategic.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. The heat race was pretty calm, which at least was good because I could secure P2 on the grid. But yeah, the feature race, I'm not sure what happened exactly on T1 with Moreno, if there was contact or not. But I mean, eventually I found myself in the lead, and then I think a few laps later at the hairpin, things kicked off, I would say. So I think I got hit from behind, lost a bit the car, and then everyone was bunching up. So yeah, that's when really things went a bit crazy, and incidents as well were racking up pretty quickly. So I was pretty nervous about that, and I was trying to manage that because I didn't want to give position too early, but I also didn't want to get a drive-through because it would have cost me so much. So yeah, that was
wow. We saw what it did to Charlie Collins and Dane Warren, and they weren't the only ones. There was a few others down the order as well. And for both of those guys, they're going to be in the championship all year and looking good at the start, especially for Dane having won the sprint race. So yeah, you held your own. How nervous were you at the end with Pinto coming back through, perhaps a little angry with things earlier on, and then Graham beside you for 3 or 4 corners?
Well, yeah, I was a bit nervous, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm used to it because there's still this nervousness, even in racing. And also because I didn't feel I had a really good pace. So I was on the back foot the entire race, trying also to manage the incident. So that was, a bit tense. But yeah, I was just trying to keep things clean, just staying composed. And yeah, I'm kind of glad to bring P3, even if I lost a position in the last lap. I think the overall picture is pretty good, and I'm glad I could get P3 in the feature.
Yeah, well, very solid performance, and looking forward to seeing more of it throughout the season, because I think this season is going to be a little more wide open than others in the past. So good start. Congratulations.
Thanks.
There we go, Paul. Good to hear from them. I think we could talk about so many people in this race. Like you say, there was just so many down the order that were caught out. I definitely have to give a shout out to Quintin Valente. I thought he was awesome today. I think he definitely put a foot forward as potentially our top rookie for the whole season to watch. I know there's some other guys in there that are looking to make a name for themselves this year as well, but unfortunate incident, gets boxed out hard going into the Mercedes arena and pays a heavy price for it.
Well, there we see the point standings as they are at the moment. After one round, Ayachan Guvan leads by 2 points. Now, he's just told us that he's not able to commit to the full season here. So Diogo Pinto, second place right now, certainly looking to be good for the start and the getaway here. And Matt, I mean, you had those interviews. I finally got my heart rate down from that end of that race because that was tremendous. And, well, we do it all again in 2 weeks' time, and this time out at Circuit Barcelona de Catalunya.
Yeah, and last year, 2 years ago, it was one of the most dramatic races of the season. Last year, it also had some big moments. That final sector, that big breaking point for the hard left-hander. We know that we've seen Sebastian get hit in there. We've seen Benecca get hit in there. It always causes drama, and it's I know it's very early in the championship calendar this year, but it will certainly be one that creates very tense situations for some of the top guys. And it's such a momentum track. It's a You love it or you hate it. You know, it's used for testing for a reason because it's got a bit of everything. But I think in the Porsche Super Cup, it creates some very, very good racing.
Yeah, it's high drama and high stakes, that's for sure. $200,000 is the prize fund. Don't forget, for round number 3 of the championship, it's up to you, the audience, to be able to decide which track that we go to. Go to Porsche.com/esports to be able to vote on your favourite track from that list. Watkins Glen, Long Beach, Hungaroring, and Interlagos. But, I mean, Matt, that was a tremendous round of the championship. It's a case of where do you look? These highlights that we're going to look at, yeah, that is certainly going to be basically instant filled. If you want to watch it again, make sure you check the video on demand. 2 weeks time, we are racing at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. But if you ever want your motorsport high octane and fast and furious, well, you have come to the right place. The 2022 Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup started with a bang, and with one brand new race winner and one returning race winner. Join us in 2 weeks' time. Until then, from myself, Paul Smith, and Matt Trivett, it's goodbye.